right, everyone. It is the Gaming Bounty Board podcast today. It has been a little bit of a hiatus since the last one, but today we got our good old friend Storm here with us.
Hello, and thanks, man, for having me on the podcast. It really means a lot, and I appreciate it to be invited here.
Of course, man. I mean, shit, you you asked me to be in your video. Least I could do is get you on the podcast.
A good deal.
I think so. By the way, that video was fantastic. I think it's one of my favorite videos of yours. Just the overall like way you did the editing and all that stuff. I really liked it.
Thanks. It means a lot. Like, I mean, when you sent your part over for me to edit, and that final like segment of yours when you're like talking about like how like immersive video games are, like it really like dawned on me like how much I love this medium, and it's so like I really like making videos. Like it really inspired me to like keep making videos like no matter what now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, man, video games can be crazy immersive, and there's a lot of experiences that you can get from video games. You know, it's not it's not just entertainment. It's not just cinematic storytelling. It's not just the cool thing about video games is there's no one set way to experience them.
Yeah.
Which that always comes into like there's always like a controversy or a discussion around that because everyone seems to have a different definition for what is a video game. But the thing is that I think that people don't understand is that video games are every art form rolled into one.
Yeah, because like it combines like the cinematics of like from like the best like Hollywood movies, and then it adds like also lots of like stuff that you can only like get in a game, like platformers or
Yeah.
I don't know, like a Metroidvania, and then the sound as well, the music's like some of like the best like composed like songs ever.
Yeah, I mean, and that always it's become less of a statement, but a lot of people still say, oh, video games aren't art. And my thing to that is like that's a funny thing to say because you are telling me that something that consists of every art form known to man is not art. Like not only can you experience stories that you couldn't experience anywhere else, you can you can get to like actually be part of the lives of characters and freely explore games no matter the length as many times as you want, as long as you want. Which is something you could never do in a 90-minute film or a book, something like that. Whereas a book is more up to your imagination, and a film is up to what the director allows you to see and interpret.
Exactly.
There's always other ways to interpret both, your standard art or film or a book as well. Like there's other interpretations and stuff depending on what it is that you are experiencing, but video games are vast. The way you can experience it. I mean, the same year you can have something like Alan Wake 2, which is like this just mind-bending mixture
Crazy.
of horror, cinematic storytelling, live action film, and the craziest and most cool like like choreographed dance play thing that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no, that section right there was like it combined story to like the way like the storytelling, it combined incredible music and the visuals. Like it was,
Oh yeah,
I've never seen anything like that in a game before, even attempted in like any other medium. It's
right. So have
wild.
you played Alan Wake 1 and Control, right?
Yeah, I played both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, what they did with that one scene in Alan Wake 2, but especially as Alan Wake 2 as a whole really pushed that whole medium further, in my opinion.
I
They
agree.
always were kind of dabbling with stuff like that in Alan Wake and Control.
Even
Fireworks.
even as early as Max Payne with the
Oh
like
yeah.
the comic book like or graphic novel presentation.
Yep. And what was cool, I can't remember if like Max Payne ever had a moment in it like that, but where Alan Wake has like the Anderson Farm, Control has the Ashtray Maze, and Alan
Oh
Wake 2
yeah,
has the,
we sing.
we sing, so, which are all fantastic moments. Like I would put all three of them up there as like three of the coolest moments in video games ever, hands down. Like
Oh
three of the most badass moments ever. Like when I beat Alan Wake again, prior to Alan Wake 2 coming out, I was like, come on, Anderson Farm, Anderson Farm. I just want to skip to that. Like it was one of the coolest parts of the whole game.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, also Control, like the Ashtray Maze, like that's because it's a lot more like action focused than the Alan Wake 2
Oh
section,
yeah.
and but like the visual stuff that's going on there is just complete like crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Alan Wake 2 does some crazy things. Here's another funny thing. So I'm pretty good ways into Alan Wake 2, and I know you finished it, right?
Yeah, platinum did in
Okay.
fact.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So I haven't finished it yet. I was hoping to have it finished by this, but then I kind of realized that wasn't going to happen. Um, because I'm at the part, light spoiler, but I'm at the part where you're going to the Ocean View Motel as Alan, because I've been kind of like swapping back and forth between them evenly. And
Okay.
I just finished the Coffee World section in Watery.
All right. Okay. Those, right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember those parts.
How far is that roughly in the game? Do you think?
I, if I remember correctly, I think it's maybe a bit after halfway, maybe around
Okay.
about that.
Yeah. So that brings me to the fact that like the game is so much longer than you'd think it would be.
Right,
Like,
and especially considering it's a survival horror title as well, like
yeah,
usually
yeah.
like your Resident Evils are much shorter.
Oh, yes. I mean, and that's another funny thing. Okay, so I'm gonna touch on two things here. So one, back to Alan Wake 2, is that it brings me back to the prior statement that I was talking about with people, having different definitions of what it means to be a video game.
Right.
So there's been some games recently like Fort Solace, or you can even look at games like Firewatch and these other games that are more like experiences, adventure type games that don't have combat. They're more of like an interactive story kind of thing. Um, a lot of people say, "Well, that's just a walking simulator. That's just a interactive movie." You know what I mean? But it's like that's
Yeah.
just another branch of what games are capable of. Like, it's okay to be an interactive movie. Like, have you played or seen the game As Dusk Falls?
I've heard lots of good stuff about it, like but no, I have not played it.
Because it's like a kind of like a comic strip style animation with like an interactive narrative adventure, and it's a
Do you like get
really
to change the outcome or
yes. There's like several
oh,
endings. It's kind of like those, like if you played a Telltale game or something where you come to those moments where you make decisions. But the best part about it is if you're playing with other people, is you can play with I think four people,
all right.
that everyone weighs in on the decisions. And like you have everyone weighs in on the big decisions, and then everyone else makes their own decisions, which then affect other people.
So like you have like this big like interconnected like web of stories that like
Yes,
comes together
yes.
and then oh wow,
And
that's
it's really
crazy.
cool. It's really cool. Everybody's different things affect each other. And then I played through like half the game with my girlfriend and my dad. Well, my fiance. I always forget to say that. My fiance. Uh, and my dad, and then me and her played the other half of the game. And man, it was just I really liked it. And by the time, because it's complicated, but it's kind of like a murder mystery thriller kind of thing wrapped up into this interactive adventure. And like some people would look at that and be, okay, that's not a game. That's just like an interactive comic book strip or something stupid like that. I mean, no, man, it's a video game. It's just like a different style of video game. We have like so many genres that we can't even describe half of them anymore, like without comparing
Yeah.
them to something else. It's like trying
And
to
cuz
explain to
even
someone what an immersive sim is.
right, yeah. I mean also like cuz you can't just like lump these games together into like one
Yeah,
overarching category because like within them there's like so many different types of
100%,
games like
100%,
I
and
mean
that's you know,
yeah. I mean, under action adventure games, like you've got survival horror, then you've got
yeah.
like your Zelda games, and then you've got like platformers. It's vast.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's crazy to find them. Like I said with immersive sims, it's like, immersive sim isn't even a genre. It's a design philosophy, but you can't. I mean, it has to kind of be a genre at the same time. But so many different games share the design philosophy of immersive sim that are not your typical immersive sim, but they still are in. They're like very much inspired by those ideas.
Yeah.
That makes it even more complex. And then when you try to explain to someone like if I try to pitch somebody on Prey, I mean, I could probably do it better than Bethesda's marketing did back in 2017, but even then, because I mean they pitched it like Bethesda, the marketing side, I mean, every trailer for Prey was like, "Hey, this is a really action-heavy Doom-like game with a little bit of horror," and that couldn't be more
Further from the
the
truth.
opposite. Yeah, it's like it's not even close to either of those things. I mean, it has horror elements, but it's not a horror game. It has action elements, but it's most certainly not a first-person shooter. Like guns in that game are more like tools than they are guns.
So it's like the weapons act like kind of like the portal gun in a way from Portal.
Right, right. It's actually a glue gun in like GLOO. I forget what it stands for in Prey, and it's basically like the master key of all master keys. Because you can use it to do things that you would never think possible in a video game.
All right,
You
that's
can
that
use it
sounds
to
that sounds intriguing.
Yeah, I mean you can use it to reach areas that you would think were out of bounds in your average game. Um, you can use it to reach areas you don't have key cards for, and so on. You can do all kinds of creative things. I mean, there's areas where you have to have a certain strength attribute to, which is something that's upgradable, but you have to have a certain one to move these boxes to get it out, and there's no other way into the room. But if you have a recycler charge, which is a grenade that you throw and takes everything that's a material around it and converts it into these cubes of like condensed material that you use for crafting, and then guess what? There's no longer anything blocking the door.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah. And so
I
if I like okay, so this is the best example I've given other people as well. So for instance, my dad is a big gamer. He's
all right.
played video games his entire life. He plays all kinds of different kinds of games, right? And he's even played BioShock in the past, and maybe he's picked up a Deus Ex. I don't know. I don't know if he's played Dishonored or anything like that. But he didn't know what immersive sim was, right? A lot of people don't. It's not a it's it's a very popular genre or design philosophy within extremely niche groups. Like it's so big and so successful, but most people haven't played Deus Ex. Most people haven't played System Shock. Most people haven't played Prey. Most people haven't played Dishonored. Um, those games are a lot
But
more niche than most people realize.
yeah, they got lots of like critical acclaim, but I not
Yeah, but
I
you
don't know,
but
like
it's
I haven't played any of them.
right. That's my point. They have critical acclaim because critics love them. That's people giving it for free. A lot of players love it, but when you think about like the average player base, most people aren't playing that. They're playing your big ones from Ubisoft. You know what I mean? They're playing Assassin's Creed. They're
Assassin's
playing Far Cry.
Creed.
They're playing Call of Duty. They're playing the FIFA Madden game. You know what I mean? There's a certain like the average player, and when you're anybody like us, you don't really know what the average player plays because you've never been an average player. Um, typically, right? So
Yeah.
stuff like that doesn't seem like it would be so far out of someone's wheelhouse, but it really is. And so one day I was like, back in I can't remember when I bought it for him, but I bought my dad Prey because I had been buying him. He used to rent games from Redbox. I don't know if you know what that is or not.
I don't think they have that in Europe. I've never heard of it
Okay,
before.
they might not. But it's like a DVD rental kiosk. It basically replaced all the DVD rental stores that used to be around my area and stuff, and they used to rent video games for like $2 or something a day. Um,
Wow.
kind of much compared to like back in the day when I was a kid. Uh, on a Tuesday, you could rent a game for 3 days for $2. Coolest shit ever. But anyway, they used to rent games and stuff. So back in 2019, they quit renting games. It was just like a big marketing push to try to start going towards like on demand and streaming stuff, which they now have. But they still rent movies and stuff like that, and they have some exclusives and whatever. And so when that happened, my dad has, he finds less time to buy games. He's just more of a renter because he kind of beats them, plays them, then that's it.
Yeah.
Just that's fine, that's fair. But I decided I'd basically, for his birthdays and Christmas and things like that, I'd buy him games. That way he can experience some cool stuff that he'd never experienced before that I know he would like.
Handpicked by you.
Do what?
Handpicked by you.
Yeah. I'm usually pretty decent at, picking out games that people like based on what I know that they're enjoying. But I was like, you know what? My dad likes horror. My dad likes shooters. My dad likes games where you can explore and so on and so forth. My dad likes stealth games. I said, you know what? Prey is an amazing game that more people need to play, and I'm going to get it for him. So I did. And, he played it, and he was liking it a lot. And then, but he would get to the point where, because also, Prey has a inventory system that's kind of like a survival horror game, where you kind of have to maneuver it around so everything fits, kind of like RE4, but not quite as
In depth
challenging as
for.
RE4. Yeah, it's not as intense. But it's still a thing, right? And ammo is limited. So he would come across like out of every video game he's ever played or every game that I've ever bought him, even to this day, several years since I bought him Prey, there has never been a single game that he talked about more.
Oh. It must have had like a big impact on him.
It did, and I think it was because of how outside of like his regular wheelhouse it was, just from a game design standpoint. Because he played it and he loved it, and he also hit a lot of roadblocks. And he would text me and he'd be like, "Hey, blah blah blah." I mean, like I remember there was a point where there's like a telepath, which is this giant thing, a mixture of Typhon material and the robots that are in the game, and it floats
Okay.
around and uses telepathy and telekinesis and stuff like that. And it's a pretty powerful enemy. So there was one of those, and then there was like some phantoms, which are like one of the main enemies outside of the mimic and stuff like that. And he's like, I only have like 5 shotgun shells left, and I have no pistol ammo, and all that stuff. And he's like, and I was like, have you been going through the whole game just like shooting everything? And he was like, yeah. I was like, playing the game wrong.
Oh wow.
And he's like, every time I go out, he's like, I shoot him and stuff, but I don't have enough ammo to kill him. And I was like, okay. I was like, you see that telepath? I was like, what is he floating above? He's like, he's just kind of floating above this empty space. And I was like, okay, I know where you are. Okay. The telepath is floating. He's on the 2nd floor of whatever this location is. I said, shoot it with the glue cannon. The glue
And
cannon
then
is a thing that you can make your own platforms out of that can allow you to go different places. It creates a giant ball of this material. Think about it like instant foam, gigantic.
okay, right.
Okay, well that can weigh down something, right? Well, if you cover the
Right.
telepath in the glue, he will then fall and plummet to his death and explode at the bottom. That's the biggest threat out of the way within seconds.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You could
Just
also do it if you have you can pick up a stun gun, a little electric stun gun thing, and you can use that on the telepath as well because it has electronics. So you send a shock to its system and it'll fall and do the same thing. And then I was like,
wow.
okay. And the phantoms, I was like, you should have. I was like, do you have any grenades, anything like that? I was like, well, I was like, you have your wrench and stuff, right? And I said, okay. I said, just go take your glue gun, freeze the phantoms, beat them with your wrench, and then when they break out of the glue finally, shoot them right in the head, point blank, with a shotgun.
And that's like using all the elements that the game
Yeah,
like gives you to like make the solution much easier.
exactly. Because the entire game is a puzzle. Like the whole game is a puzzle. Every single aspect of it is a puzzle. It's like the combat is a puzzle. The
Inventory as
traversal is a
well.
puzzle. The inventory is everything's a puzzle. And you have to think. And I told him, I was like, and he ended up making out of that area. He had questions about some stuff before that and after. And I just told him, I was like, just think outside the box. Like that is the. I even said it in one of my Prey videos. I have like 3 of those now. I said, look, one of the most important things going into Prey or any immersive sim, but especially Prey, which I think is the peak of all immersive sims. The number one thing is to think outside the box. You have to. Thinking outside the box is the only way you'll ever succeed in that game, and it also will provide the most fun. And
Yeah, because like imagine when you like when like you when games give you like all the tools for you to like forge your own path, it makes it more like it's up to the player more. Like it becomes whole lot more personal.
right,
You decide like how you want to progress or how you can like get through the next situation.
100%. And I think that's one of the coolest things about Prey. And you know, you can. It's like in the beginning of the game, you can get a stun gun way sooner than you'll get a stun gun. You can find a shotgun within the first 30 minutes of the game, or you'll get one like probably a few hours after that. You can get a pistol before they actually give you your first pistol. You can you can find different ways to get to different locations that you wouldn't even go to until further into the game. It's just there's so much variety there that it's kind of overwhelming for people. And I think that the game and the freedom that it provides you is overwhelming for people. It's also a game that like it it explains very little and it has pretty much absolutely zero handle.
And because of that, like I guess like the entry point for like playing the game is increases because of
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, it does. And especially nowadays, I think people are pretty used to having their handheld, so it's a little bit harder for people to kind of get used to
Yeah,
something like that. Um,
and I mean this design philosophy like the that you explained here, it kind of reminds me of like the recent the 2 most recent Zelda titles with how like
very much so. Yeah, that's the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They take very heavily from the immersive sim design philosophy.
and no hand holding and just like they just like kick you out in the world and
That's one of the
you go
best things
loose.
about those games.
Man, if it's like Breath of the Wild and like Tears of the Kingdom, I might have to play Prey sooner than I thought.
Yeah, it's very similar in its ability to just it kind of throws you to the wolves and you got to figure it out.
I guess I can assume I'm assuming in Prey it's a lot more aggressive, like the atmosphere as well. So it
Oh
requires
yeah,
you like instantly to just adapt to the game and start thinking.
yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of there's a lot of threats, but it's a lot about atmosphere and like it's a very atmospheric game, and it's a game that seems it's a very dead place, but it feels more alive than any game you've probably ever played.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Because let me add a little detail to that. There's these security stations in the game, right? And these security stations, you can hack into them or you can just access them. And there's logs of every person that works in every location of the entire station. Every single person on these logs are there. Like they are in the game. Every single person. Some of them have become phantoms. Some of them are dead. Some of them are even alive, but they're all there. You can find every single body in the entire game that is in these logs. Every single person that was on this station can be found.
that's crazy. Like
Yeah,
really adds to the immersion and like the world
very much.
building.
Very much so. Also, I think it has one of the best implementations of audio logs in any video game as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the audio logs in Prey are these transcribes that you find, but instead of them being like, oh no, they're attacking me, I'm just deciding to record this while I'm dying kind of thing instead of trying to escape, it's more like stories and events and things that happened prior to the events of Prey. These are conversations between people. These are discussions and love interest things,
Everyday
and
things.
yeah, these are like normal things that happened prior. Some of them are even things that provide context for what had inevitably happened or what could happen or just lore and backstory, but they're all stories. That's the point. They're all stories that happened prior to everything going wrong.
And because of it, like, I mean, if you like get really invested in their stories, it makes it more, I don't know, heartbreaking, so to speak. Like when you like when it dawns on you, like maybe how like the world has changed from before between the audio logs and the world of Prey as it is now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. They're yeah. They're very good for that. They're they're really really good. I highly suggest you play the game at some point.
It's getting higher and higher on the list of games that I need to buy and play.
You probably, I mean, I think Prey's pretty cheap on Steam, isn't it?
I think it is. The problem is that my laptop is quite literally a potato. So
Well, yeah, I guess that could be an issue. Do you play on any consoles?
yeah, I play most of my games on the PlayStation and then on the Switch.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, do you have any like local, like I guess where you live, it would be EB games?
Or like a GameStop, or we have a
Yeah,
GameStop here. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I think I'll go to like maybe go to the local GameStop one of these days and see if I can find it in like the
You could probably find it, but let me like so my local GameStop sells Prey and they sell it for like $5.
$5.
Yeah.
That's a crazy good discount.
Yeah. I mean, the game's been out since 2017, and I mean, it did okay, right? It did decent. It didn't do crazy well, so its market value is pretty low.
Right. I think also, I mean, maybe because it was made by Arcane Austin, right? And I think
Yeah.
maybe the not so successful, like it made them like change and pivot to make something like Redfall.
Yeah. Well,
Or
yeah. So I think Prey. Okay, well, let me put it like this: Prey is a once in a lifetime game. Prey is a once in a generation game. It's not something that happens all the time, and it rarely happens because immersive sims are extremely hard to make. They require a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of investment. They're harder to make than any other game. They're hard to market, and the profit margins are extremely low because they're so niche that most people won't play them. They're and people try to market them as this, but then someone goes and plays it, they get something completely different, and blah blah. Like Prey's issues, but also Prey was named after had to use the same name of a game that already existed because of
right, yeah.
Bethesda. They were forced to do so. It wasn't like something that they wanted to do. And Rafael Colantonio, the guy that I interviewed, talked about it quite a few times on a lot of different discussions and interviews. And that Prey was already in development and already pretty much almost a finished game before they gave it the name Prey, like way before. You know what I mean? Um,
Wow.
and I think that also hurt its reception because of fans of the 2006 Prey, which, by the way, I recently beat, and that is also a fantastic game. Um, but that is more of an action game, more of a, you
A lot
know,
more different than
yeah,
the Prey that we have today.
I mean, Prey is the 2006 Prey is more of like a Doom, it's kind of like Doom 3 era stuff mixed with a little bit of Half Life, but the bombastic nature of something like Duke Nukem all kind of like rolled into one.
Yeah.
It's also a game that had Portals before Portal, so yeah,
Oh wow.
Portal ripped them
Well,
off.
that's
I mean, Portal
wait. When did
made it a
Portal
little
come
bit
out?
2008 or something, 2007
Wow.
or 2000 no 2000 2008 or 2009 I think actually something like that.
And then
Yeah, I think 2008 or
that's a
2009.
long time ago.
Yeah, and Prey was that first Prey was 2006. So yeah, there's a little bit of time there, and but that game was pretty niche, It did well, but it was niche as well. Um, yeah. Anyway, so we'll pivot back after this little rant of Prey. I feel like I mention it in every single thing that I do. So good.
And I guess that happens when you're like really passionate about like one game. It just keeps coming back.
I mean, it is a game that it's probably the first game since the original Dead Island that I have now played a little bit every single year since its release. Because I
Oh
played Dead
wow,
Island to some degree or another, not necessarily beating it, but playing it every year since 2011. Every single year, at least once.
that's it. So like you're on like a 12-year streak now, or
Yeah,
13 maybe.
yeah. I'm gonna be doing it till I die.
Yes, all the
Now
way.
I'm gonna add Dead Island 2 to that list because Dead Island 2 is fantastic. Um, but yeah, I want to kind of like go back around because we were talking about immersive sims and all these different, the ways that video games can be different things. But I want to kind of pivot back to Alan Wake. So one of those complaints that I've seen towards Alan Wake 2 is that it doesn't have enough action for a survival horror game, and that it's a
Yeah,
lot of walking simulator stuff. And I kind of want to
yeah.
hear your thoughts on that because I have my own thoughts, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that aspect of the game. Whereas there is a lot of atmosphere, walking, and just getting the shit scared out of you, which I think is perfect for that kind of game. And for something like Alan Wake, it's very an atmospheric, immersive game. So I'm curious to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on people calling it a walking simulator.
Right. So, like, I've seen a few videos of the people just basically going out and saying it's a walking simulator because of just like the dialogue exposition when you're walking. But like in my opinion, it's far and away not a walking simulator in the slightest. I mean, sure, the only like area I would say like where the game is slow, like with like has like, just like lots of dialogue exposition and walking is the first like hour or two of the game. But then after that, it's just the storytelling of the game is told in such a way that it's you're you're like playing the game like the action happens and then you're experiencing the story as it happens. It's a bit hard to describe now that I think about it.
Right. I agree, man. It's hard to describe, but they have such a perfect balance between action, scares, atmosphere, and just walking around
Story,
having conversations and talking to people and meeting people. Like, because I mean, I feel like there's a pretty good mixture. It's not just like all you do is walk. I mean, every time you
yeah,
play as Alan is like you're on it, the tips of
you're
your
on
toes
edge,
just like all the time.
wondering
Now,
wondering
Saga
if
is
the
a
enemy there.
yeah, Saga's a little bit better because like you can hear the cult come through the woods or something. You sometimes see them at a distance, and hers are a little bit more easy to tell, or they jump out at you and stuff like that. And it's in the real world, right? But the
Yeah,
the funny thing I found out about Alan's dark place is all the shadows, right?
those shadows are great. One of the greatest enemies designs
Dude,
in recent years, I'd say.
yes, they are. The shadows are fantastic. They're also a great like a great like trick. They're like a great um something.
Illusion.
Yeah, I mean they're an illusion. There's like a they kind of throw you off because you never know, and it gives me the most like anxiety out of anything ever because like when you first experience them, when you first play as Alan and there's the shadows and they're saying your name, they're like you know fucking with you, and then like you unload some clips in them because you don't know if it's like an actual enemy, or
And then they disappear.
then you waste battery on them and they're not an actual enemy. Then they disappear. So I'm like, okay, so can I just like run through these guys and just say screw you guys? I don't have time to deal with your bullcrap. So I did that for a little bit, and it worked for a little bit, right? I just run through them until one time I ran through a group of them, and then I got sucker punched right in the face,
Yeah.
and I was like, damn it.
Well,
Eh,
like that risk that you have like when you're going
yeah,
into like combat and then like you're not sure if it's actually an enemy and then like suddenly it just
yep.
like WWE slams you into the ground.
Yeah, pretty much. Dude, okay, so and a lot of times they'll kind of give themselves away if they're walking towards you, or the other ones usually don't walk much. But then I've seen sometimes where they're not walking towards you, but they'll walk to the side, then they'll just fade out. Like, dude, they didn't have to design this so damn well. Like they didn't have
Right?
to
No,
design it so well because it's too good. Um,
it really is.
and I think it was yesterday I was playing, and I'm on like the rooftops, in the dark place in the area I'm in now, or the prior area, and there's shadows, and they're all like, okay, right before I experienced shadows, they're all fake. I shined on a bunch of them, and then I'm like, okay, nothing happened, right? And then I like try to run through this one shadow, but it's not like an enemy, it's just a shadow. But the damn thing like choke slammed me. And I was like, what the hell? It wasn't even an enemy either, because it just vanished after it choke slammed me. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
no,
um, okay. I didn't know that was a thing.
it's very not diverse. I'd say no. What I don't know the word either. Like it's unique. It's very
It's
unique.
very unique, yeah.
There's no other enemy design out there like it.
And you know the point that I'm at, so I don't know how many more times he pops up, and this is obviously spoilers all over the place, but um, it's just how it is. But Tim Breaker, right?
All right, yeah.
I find it so funny. Like I ran into him like 3 times, and like when you first go to the dark place, like he's in like just 3 different places within the same area.
Within the same continuity as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm like, that's interesting. But within the third time that I encountered him in that area, I don't know if you probably encountered him later on too, but um in that area, like by the third time, it basically confirmed that, if they ever get the rights to Quantum Break, that there's going to be another one.
Oh, I have not played Quantum Break. I've got lots of recommendations of people telling me to play it, but haven't had the
Okay.
chance yet.
Well, there's a guy, it's not really spoiling anything, but well,
The main guy, right?
yeah, so Tim Breaker, the actor Sean Ashmore is the
The
main
Quantum Break
character
guy.
of Quantum Break. He's I don't know, I forget his name, but
Yeah,
there's another
Quantum Break guy.
guy in Quantum Break. I'm not going to give you context to anything about who he is, what he does, blah blah blah, but his name's Trench, and he was played by Lance Reddick, who recently passed away.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay, well, Lance Reddick looks a lot like the actor who plays Mr. Door.
Mr. Door.
And it's theorized that Door and Trench may be the same person, and let's just say there's a lot of evidence that points to that being the case. Especially in a certain thing in the third encounter that I had with Tim Breaker, where he said, I'm either here or I'm there. I'm either in this world or another, but I'm always, but he's like, everything's pretty much the same. I'm me, but I'm in a different role in a different place. And the only thing that stays the same is me and that door man.
Oh, that's deep.
And I was like,
Really, really adding to the Remedy universe.
yeah, yeah. And I was like, huh, yeah, that's, yeah. I mean, they just can't legally say that it is, right? It's kind of like
Yeah,
how Alex Casey is,
Max
uh,
Payne.
Max Payne, but not Max Payne. Even
Yeah.
though in an interview, Sam Lake said something about Alex Casey's basically alternate universe Max Payne. So I guess there was no
Oh
trouble
yeah.
with that, but because they don't own the rights to Max Payne, Rockstar
No,
does.
it's Rockstar.
But the
Oh,
funny
I
part
can't wait
is
for.
that but that Rockstar already hired Remedy to make the remakes of 1 and 2 though.
Yeah,
Which is
I'm
a
super
funny
excited
thing
for
given
that.
that they don't have the rights to anything, but at least they decided to let them do it.
Yeah, Remedy makes the best Remedy games.
Oh yeah. And I mean honestly I hope that Xbox allows them to make another Quantum Break as well at some point. Quantum Break was good. I don't care what anybody says. That game gets a lot of crap, but it actually is a really good game. And there's a lot of narrative stuff and everything, like elements of stuff that they do in Quantum Break that you see in Alan Wake 2 as well as Control. So
Right. I mean, it took 9. I think it was 9 years for Xbox to give up the rights to Alan Wake
yeah, oh,
to
yeah,
back
it
to
took a long
Remedy.
time. Took a long time.
So I mean, Quantum
Is
Break
it
came out
possible?
in 2016, 17.
16, yeah, I think so. 16.
So hey, best case scenario they give up the rights next year if we're going
Hey,
by the same
maybe.
timeline.
Hey, maybe. That wouldn't be bad. It turns out, yeah, we're in development of Quantum Break 2. I'm gonna tell you right now though, the only downside of the Alan Wake 2 existing is that how the hell do you top this? And I haven't even beat the game. But I know by the time I beat the game that it's gonna be one of my favorite games of all time because it's already
Oh,
so damn close, man. Like it's already so
for
close.
sure.
I think it should have won Game of the Year. Don't get me wrong. Baldur's Gate 3 is a good game that I still want to play. That's awesome. I get it. It makes sense. That was the biggest competition that Alan Wake 2 had was Baldur's Gate 3. But come on, man. Alan Wake 2 is so damn good.
Yeah, no, I mean, in the Game of the Year debate, I can see like any like of the 6 games, I can like see. I think it was like a tight race between like 5 of them, except Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2, I don't think it should have been in the discussion
Yeah.
at any
I don't
point.
think there was enough added in Spider-Man 2 for there to be a reason for it to be up there. I don't think there was enough innovated on, right? It was kind of a from everything I've seen, even though it does some cool stuff, especially with Venom and that kind of stuff, which is
Yeah,
awesome, but it can't really carry a game to Game of the Year, especially given that Spider-Man 2 is largely both mechanically and narratively just a, just a pretty safe continuation of what it did before, right? It's
yeah.
not pushing any boundaries, it's not doing anything different. It's very much the same kind of game.
The only 2 things I'd say like that Spider-Man 2, like I don't think any game has ever is will come close to it in like 5 years from now. Is one, the fast travel system in that game is like really really pushes the technological boundaries of like what games can do.
How so? How so?
So right, the like when I've spoken with like friends about it, like they've told me like you know how GTA 5's loaded like when you switch between characters.
Uh huh.
So just imagine I haven't played GTA 5, so I can't really talk about it.
Oh,
But like
I
imagine
played it a lot. Yeah.
so imagine the character switching just instantaneous and with like really like good
So
animation wise.
the way the character switching works in GTA 5 is that you press the button and it zooms up into the sky and then comes back down into the next character. And it's pretty seamless. Especially the next gen versions like on Xbox One, PS4 and like Series X and stuff. It is very fast. So you're saying like so Spider-Man 2's fast travel is that without a loading screen?
Basically, yeah, no
So
loading
it's
screen
just
at all.
poof, you're there kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's cool as shit. But to be
it's
fair,
insane.
I don't think I would want to fast travel at all in Spider-Man. I would just swing around all the time.
That's the point. And the other thing, the really good I just remember now is
But
the
I guess
actual
if it's that
traversal of the game
quick,
is
you don't have to waste much time if it's that quick. Then you're just like right back to web swinging it.
right. And the traversal system as well is a lot faster this time as well. So
Oh, is it? Okay.
it I don't know. It's very they put 2 really good like implementations
Yeah,
for traversal, but it's just I don't know. One's better than the other, or depends on how you want to play it.
that's fair. Yeah, I haven't played. I've lightly dabbled in the new Spider-Man games. I haven't played a lot of them. It's on my bucket list at some point.
Mhm.
But I
And
thought,
also,
so. Well, what were you gonna say?
the other thing like about Spider-Man 2 is the cinematography of that game is
Hmm.
really really good.
Yeah, it does look pretty good. A lot of people need to remember sometimes that the Game Awards is a popularity contest and a way for people to kind of come together for awards and announcements and stuff, especially in the industry.
Yeah,
But every game review outlet, every game review website has their own game of the year. You, as an individual, can have your own game of the year.
yeah,
There's no one scale that says what one game is entirety. Like multiple games could be game of the year. Like they could go make and there's actually like pretty much no requirements to make a game of the year edition of something. Um so, I mean any game could be game of the year. Like I mean shit. Say Baldur's Gate 3 wins game of the year at the Game Awards. Alan Wake 2 probably won game of the year at like a bunch of other things. And then early next year you've got the DICE Awards and so on. Those are other game
the
awards.
BAFTAs, yeah,
Yeah, and BAFTAs. So I mean it doesn't really matter. There's a lot of different ones. You just watch them all. They're all cool as hell. They're all awesome. The industry's cool as shit. But at the end of the day,
exactly,
man, have whatever you want your game of the year to be. I mean, I have
yeah.
contenders like Alan Wake 2, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Those are probably 2 of the best looking games I've played in a couple years. Like by far 2 of the best games I've played in a couple years. But then you also have Dead Island 2, which is my game of the year for countless reasons, right?
Right. I mean, it comes down to like just like what you look for in a game. No one
Yeah, I mean,
decides like what you want to see in a game.
yeah. I mean, to a degree, right? I mean, there's a lot of factors that can make why you like a game that specific year. Like last year, a funny one. My game of the year last year was Evil West.
Oh, I've heard a bit of that.
Most people probably even played Evil West. I mean, most people are like, oh, it's just a God of War clone game by the guys that made Shadow Warrior, blah 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 blah. Like, that's fine, cool, yeah. I mean, it's a relatively short hack and slash action game. It's really cool. It's badass as hell. You know what I mean? And if you like Van Helsing or Jonah Hex or old school Marvel movies and shit, you're gonna love it.
Maybe I'll also add that to my backlog of games to
Go for
play.
it, man. And it's kind of like the new God of War games combat, but faster.
Oh, okay, that sounds
Yeah,
crazy because the new God of War combat is pretty. I think it's pretty fast. I mean, I haven't played
yeah.
like a true
It's
hack and
it's
slash game
it's a
until
little
the
bit
God of Wars.
faster. It's a little bit faster than that, in my opinion. Um, but I don't know how big you are into like hack and slash games. Like, have you played Devil May Cry, the old God of Wars, anything like that?
Yeah, I've played Devil May Cry 1, and I've played the God of War 2018 and a bit of God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, so you're a newbie to the hack and slash game.
Pretty new, yeah.
Okay.
I got the
Hack and
Devil May Cry
slash
5
newbie.
over here.
All right.
I haven't played it yet.
Well, I have plenty of recommendations in that area. So go ahead and get you a pen and paper. I'll get you some hack and
All right,
slash
okay.
things written down, okay?
All right, I got my
um,
notepad here.
so Splatterhouse is a big one from 2010, right? That is a super, super cool hack and slash game that is not perfect. The studio shut down within like a couple months of the game being released. It has some bugs
Oh,
and
that's
issues, but it
unfortunate.
is by far one of the most badass, heavy metal, just gory ass video games ever made, and it's fucking cool as hell from beginning to end. It's fantastic. You got to check it out. Look at a trailer or something. It's cool as hell.
All right,
Uh,
Splatterhouse.
yeah, and I'd also recommend Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Okay, right. So Platinum Game stuff.
Yeah, that's the only Platinum Games game that I played because I never liked the look of Bayonetta. I've been told to play the Nier games, but
Speaking of Nier, I literally just finished the fifth ending yesterday on Automata.
oh, nice. Yeah, see, I've been told to play those games, but I have not played them. But Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is also probably one of the best hack and slash games out there, and has one of the hardest and best final bosses of any video game ever in President Armstrong or
Yeah, I
Senator
think that
Armstrong. He's running for president.
yeah, I think that boss fight has been like memed
Oh,
to the ends of the
yeah, dude.
earth.
I mean, there's a reason, but a lot of people do agree that it is one of the best bosses in any video game. There's a lot of people out there that would say that. And it's hard as shit too, but it is good. It is so good. And he's like, I
Right,
mean, he's just a guy you want to hate. Like he's as villainous as he could get. You know what I mean? Uh,
right.
but yeah, I guess I get how he could kind of be the perfect U.S. president, right? he's he's funny as hell. But um, let's see
Right.
something else.
Metal
Evil
Gear
West,
Rising:
obviously, I
Revengeance.
just said Evil West. Evil West is badass as hell.
Evil
Um,
West.
and Devil May Cry 5, by the way. I don't give a damn if you play any other. Actually, I'd say skip all of them except for 5. Go play 5. Just play Devil May
Okay,
Cry
right.
5.
Wait, I've
That,
heard lots of good things about 3 though.
yeah, I mean, 3 is good, right? 3 is really good. But there's a big issue with the Devil May Cry games that have always been kind of terrible, and that's platforming.
Okay.
The Devil May Cry games have really bad platforming sections. I might have some Devil May Cry fans come after me, but they've always had bad platforming sections. The platforming and the puzzles have never been their strong suit. The combat has always been the best part. Devil May Cry 5 strips out all of that and it's just combat. Like it's linear and combat. And there's like it's it. It's all the way through the game. Beginning to end, combat, 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 tons of cinematics, heavy metal, badass shit,
Oh, the
upgrades,
music's incredible.
combat, 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 all the way to the end. Best final boss fight, or one of the best final boss fights, one of the best final sequences ever. Great ending, great beginning. It has a cool ass intro as well,
Right.
and it's also an RE engine. It's by far one of the best looking RE engine games ever, and just continues to prove that we need a Dead Rising remake in the RE engine.
I think we need like any game in the RE engine. Like right now, I mean, a Dino Crisis
100%.
would be
Oh,
crazy right now. And then
Dino Crisis would be another great one. But yeah, Devil May Cry 5, man, I think that is the best hack and slash game of all time, and one of the best to come out in years. Because we
right,
don't have that many hack and slash games anymore. They were big in the early 2000s and they were big in the early 2010s, and then they just kind of died. So the only thing we got now is stuff like Evil West, the new God of War games, and Devil May Cry 5, and that's it.
all
But I
right,
think Devil May Cry 5, from the standpoint of what makes hack and slash games great, is by far better than God of War 2018 and Ragnarok combined. But on the standpoint of story, narrative, and just a compelling characters and so on, God of War beats it a million times over, right?
yeah,
Because I think that's the best part about these new God of War games. It's not necessarily combat, even though the combat is good. I think the story and the narrative and the visuals are the biggest selling point for these new God of War games. Because honestly,
yeah.
I would go as far as to say that the God of War 3, and especially its remastered version for PS4, is way better than the new God of War games combat wise, in my opinion. So yeah, put that on the list too. God of War 3 is
Right.
phenomenal,
God of War 3 remastered.
fantastic. Well, actually, you can. So here's a cool thing. Go look for the what is it called? I actually just saw it in GameStop the other day. I didn't even know it was a thing. But well, is it on PS3 or PS4? Well, no, you can get 3 remastered on PS4, but
Yeah,
for PS3 they have a collection that is God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, God of War Ascension, which is the prequel, and then also the
that's the
two
PSP one, right?
no,
Oh,
that
okay.
one's the last one that released on PS3 was Ascension. That's a
Oh,
prequel.
all right.
But also Ghost of Sparta and Chains of Olympus are the PSP games. But literally all, what is that, 6 games? All 6 of them are on that disc. It's called like the God of War. It's not the collection. The collection is just 3 games. It's called the God of War Saga or something like that. It's a PS3 one. I didn't even know it was a thing until I saw it in GameStop the other day, and I came really damn close to getting it. If it's there the next time I go, I'm getting it.
Mhm.
Because
All right.
I've played every God of War game except for the new ones and Ghost of Sparta and Chains of Olympus. That's the only ones I haven't played. I grew up with those games. Like, I'm a big fan. That's probably one of the first hack and slash games I ever played.
That's is it the game or the series of games that's like started like making you like invested in hack and slash or
Yeah, actually. Yeah, I'd say, um, I mean, shit, they started the genre really. Um, between God of War and Devil May Cry, that was like the beginning of hack and slash, really. I mean, unless you count, uh, Soul Reaver and the Legacy of Kain games, they were a little bit before. I guess they kind of really started it, but it really kicked off with DMC and God of War. I played a lot of God of War with my uncle growing up, and a lot of Devil May Cry with my dad. So both of them were pretty pivotal in me falling in love with hack and slash games, but especially God of War because I was a huge Greek mythology person.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I
gotta
really
love
like
some
Greek mythology.
mythology.
And Norse is cool too. So that's why these new ones are cool. But the rumors are that the next God of War is going to be in Egypt, and I mean, I might just buy a PS5 just for that, and I haven't even played God of War 2018 or Ragnarok yet.
And apparently also that it's going to be like a, I mean, it because the Ragnarok saga or the Norse saga is like
Yeah, it's
effectively
over.
done. I've heard.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
over. The new free DLC Valhalla was the last bit of this series, but they said that that's not it for God of War. But and
yeah.
a lot of leaks and rumors are that they're going to Egypt.
And also, I mean, wasn't it? I think I saw a video like a while back where it like said that like in the I don't know God of War 1, 2, or 3, like where they already hinted at that after Norse it would be Egypt.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that hint at stuff like that, man. God of War 1, 2, and 3 okay, let me just okay. You haven't played those games, right? You haven't played the old ones, just the
No,
new ones?
no,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, if you don't get access to the other ones and you only play 3, you can I think it has a recap of prior events, right? But let me just say that God of War 3 is by far the most violent in the entire series.
is it?
Yes, it is. And I
How
mean,
violent are we talking?
oh, we're talking violent. Violent. Very, 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 very brutally violent. Like these new games are violent in some areas, right? But nothing compared to God of War 3. That was peak pissed off Kratos, okay?
Wow.
He goes after Zeus by the end of the game. He's finishing the Pantheon in 3. He's finishing it all. This man not only single-handedly killed every Greek god known to man, but he also killed the Titans who came before the Greek gods. He killed everybody.
That's crazy.
He even
All
killed
right.
some of the people who nobody cares about, like Daedalus and shit. You know what I mean?
Wow.
He killed everybody. Medusa.
I mean, I guess that's why they call him the God of War.
Well, yeah. That was the first god that he killed. Or one of
Ares.
the first gods that he killed was Ares. Not the first one. He killed a couple others. But that was one of the first ones he killed, because that Ares is what starts his entire story. That's the Ares and Kratos. Kratos are linked, like, you know, blood in our body. You know what I mean? Like they're one and
Yeah.
the same. One wouldn't, God of, Kratos wouldn't be what he became if it wasn't for Ares. But there's a nice
Ares was
twist.
like,
There's actually a lot to learn, because Kratos, he's not just a man, and he's not just a god because he killed all the gods either. There's
he's
a
still like
twist.
locked to like the human element as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's I don't want to spoil it for you, but yeah, I mean, he's kind of a, I don't know, he's kind of a demigod in a way. I'll put it like
I
that.
think because I think God of War 2018 mentioned that he was like a demigod.
Did they mention who his father was?
I think it's father Zeus, right? If I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew that or not. Trust me, it takes like 3 games to figure that out.
Oh wow. And
But
here I found out
it's hinted
just
at.
like
I know, right? But trust me, go play God of War 3 Remastered, and your eyes will be open forever. It's a damn good
right.
game. I need to play it again myself, dude. It's so fucking good. Anyway, I guess we'll get back on track. I think that's all the hack and slash games. Let me look. I got all my games near me. Let me look real quick. I don't know if it's something that's widely known about me, but I have a freaking massive game collection.
Send me a picture of it afterwards. I don't think I've seen it. Well, I'd like to see it.
Okay. I'll send you a picture of the ones that are able to be taken pictures of. Because
All right.
I have some like on my counter in my living room. Then I have some on another rack. Then I have some on a bookshelf. Then I have some that are like mobile, or not mobile, handheld games that are in a drawer or whatever. I probably own like, let's see, one. I don't know. I probably own 12 plus consoles as well.
Wow. What consoles do you play on mostly?
My go-to is typically Xbox. That's my preference, but I also play PlayStation and just about anything else. But most of the time, I stick with Xbox or Switch is what I play most of the time. And then I occasionally play on the PS4.
All right.
But I play a lot of things. I actually recently bought a Sega Saturn for pretty cheap from a coworker.
Oh, that's crazy. Sega Saturn.
Yeah, you gotta go
That's
check out
some.
my haul. Like, it's like the last video I published on the channel.
All right, sure, will do.
Yeah. I did a whole haul in there of a bunch of stuff I picked up, and I now have a new I created a new intro for my haul and unboxing videos that I do. I don't do them a lot, but I figured I should make like an intro type thing for it, so I put one together. I also have a new intro for the podcast and stuff. I don't know if you watch the podcast or anything much.
I've seen some of the podcasts, but I don't think I know that because I know like for your usual like video essays, like you have like pretty sick intro.
Yeah. So that's the same intro I've been using for the podcast episodes that I've published on YouTube, but for my last one that I did, more of an interview than anything. It's the interview with Rob from Dinosaur Bites, who's the game developer behind the 3D platformer Clive and Wrench. I interviewed him recently, and I used my new podcast interview, my new intro that I created.
All right, I'll check that out too as after.
Yeah, man. Let's see. back on track here. We were talking about Game of the Year stuff. We're talking about Alan Wake 2. We can probably move on from Alan Wake 2 because, like I haven't beat the game and I don't want to give too many more
Yeah, no,
spoilers off.
it's a bit hard. Like towards the end game stuff, like it's a bit hard to like refrain from spoilers.
Oh man, is it? Yeah. It's really hard. And I mean, there's a lot, like, even where I am, there's a lot to talk about. But uh maybe I can have you back on again for a full Alan Wake 2
Alan,
exclusive discussion.
Alan Wake 2 breakdown.
Yeah, we gotta do it, man. But anyway,
Of,
so let's keep on from here. Um, you know, are you're working on a video, right? About your favorite games of the year, like what your game of the year is and
yes.
stuff. Okay,
Yep.
and
It's
how's that going?
so I've edited the audio and like music stuff so far. So all I need to do now is like put it into video format,
Oh
like
hell
get
yeah.
the footage and stuff. And yeah, it's
So
got a pretty wide range of games.
awesome. That's good to hear, man. I'm excited to see it. Our pal Friendly Forest, who's on the same Discord as us.
Yeah, yeah. FF7.
Yeah, FF7. Um, he did a similar thing to you and invited me to a video around the same time that you did.
Yeah, the
So
for his. Oh, I don't know if people. I don't know if it's we're confirmed yet if we're allowed to announce if we're on the project yet or not.
oh yeah. But there's a project. I ain't gonna say what the project is, but he invited me to a
Yeah,
project. Did he invite you to
yeah,
the
yeah.
project?
I'm pretty sure I'm on the project. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
I'm actually kind of curious though, because I made like an entire video for it. That's what he asked me to do. Um, I'm curious where it's gonna be in there because he said that it is. So I'm just curious to how it's implemented. I'm not quite aware how it's gonna be implemented, so I'm curious.
He did one. He did one last year, and it was pretty good. I really liked it. How what he did last year.
I have to go check it out and see how he did it because I don't think I watched that one. I went through a bunch of his videos just like I did yours and stuff. I like to go and binge everybody's stuff from time to time, but
Yeah,
I have to go check it out because I'm curious. Yeah, because I basically did a whole thing of of a certain game, and it's cool because it's a game that I think deserved more attention this year.
yeah. So yeah, best games of the year.
Oh yeah, man. I think it's a let's talk about we mentioned an underrated game of this entire year, and that's Diablo 4.
Well, I've never been a Diablo guy, so I've completely I've overlooked that game completely.
Have you played Diablo?
No.
I'm not a Diablo guy. I've never played it. I'm just messing with you, man. Yeah. So, man, Diablo 4. I don't know. I think it kind of got like the short end of the stick between like the recent stuff around Blizzard as well as
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to those kind of games, everyone focuses on the meta and the this and the that and bullcrap that I just don't care about, man. I love Borderlands, I love Diablo, and I play these games for their story, and I enjoy the leveling and loot based aspect of it, but I don't care about like builds and shit like that. That doesn't mean anything to me.
You just want to play the game.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think so many people are focused on that and like the end game that they just lose sight of the best parts of the game. 'Cause it has some of the best atmosphere, just the amazing attention to detail in the world. The music is phenomenal, and the story is by far the best Diablo story there has ever been, in my opinion. Like it is by far the best. There's like and I've told this to many people. There's like a cinematic near because Blizzard's big on doing like amazing cinematics. They're
Right.
all pre-rendered, right? And they're phenomenal. Some of them actually, this game actually dabbles in non pre-rendered cinematics as well. There's actually some in game that are just as good. But there's a pre-rendered one that's a battle between this uh this holy army led by a fallen angel against these demons in hell. And it is one of the freaking coolest things I've ever seen in my life. And no shit, it's like probably 3 to 5 minutes long.
Oh,
And
of
it's
just
amazing.
cutscene.
Of just cutscene of this battle.
Crazy.
It's amazing. Yeah, and I think it's just kind of been crapped on a little bit. It's been, overlooked and whatever, and that's fine. It got a what is it? It got a nomination at the Game Awards for something
Multiplayer, I
dumb.
think,
Yeah, multiplayer.
maybe.
Like, come on, man. Diablo for multiplayer? Stupid as hell. Wasn't gonna win that. Not even really a multi. I mean, it is a multiplayer game. It has co-op and multiplayer and whatever, but like, it's not a damn multiplayer game. Like, it's just whatever. The
I
co-op
think it also
game.
got one for innovation in accessibility as well, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure to what degree that's really for, but yeah, whatever. It's got nominated. That's awesome. But I hate that it didn't win anything. I feel like it deserved that. But
I mean,
damn,
it was a very tough year.
yeah. I mean,
Like, speaking
it's
of this,
dude. This year for video games has been the best year for video games in a long time. Like, there's so many
yeah.
games released that are good. There's so many games released that are great that it's insane. It's insane to like even be able to keep up with how great so many games are. That's why this year's Game Awards was stacked. Like, it's just so much, man. And there's still
Yeah,
games coming out right now. Like, they just came out with that Avatar game and stuff. Like,
and
there's still
it
so
looks
many.
pretty solid as well.
It actually does, yeah. I was calling it like Far Cry Primal 2.0, and Far Cry Primal is the best Far Cry in case you didn't.
I have yet to play a Far Cry either.
Oh my goodness, man. What in the
uh,
hell?
in fact, I've not played like any of like the big Ubisoft titles either.
Well,
I do
if you want
have,
to play an Assassin's Creed, I suggest starting with um
or
if you want a little bit of the old school and the new school, I would say the two to play would probably be um Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Origins.
also not four.
No, I mean 4 is great, but don't start with 4.
All right, because that's the one that I picked it up for cheap when I saw it on like a PlayStation sale. So
Well,
I
okay,
have
I mean
four
if you
on.
already have it, I mean go for it. It is fantastic, but it's just people always, bitch and complain about, oh, Assassin's Creed changed so much, blah blah blah. But Assassin's Creed was always changing. Okay, like 4 and Rogue have heavy like sea elements. Obviously, like there's a lot of sea travel as well as land.
Yeah,
And I mean, there is assassinating and stuff like that, but it's still a lot more that feeling of being a pirate or whatever. And the prior games was all on foot, and then you had, I mean, there's so many things in these games. They change so much, but yeah, I mean, I would highly suggest like 2 and Origins, especially Origins. I think that is like the peak of the games in my opinion.
all
But
right.
Black Flag 4 is a really really good one as well. It's one of the best ones as well. Oh
Also,
yeah,
is two is the one with Ezio, right?
yeah, that's the first one with Ezio. Yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah, it's the beginning of his trilogy. The only one
all
that
right.
got a trilogy.
He's a good character. He's iconic for a reason, so I guess that's
he
why.
he is a good character, but I think that Bayek of Siwa from AC Origins deserved his trilogy.
All right,
Because I would say he's just as, if not better than Ezio as a character.
all right. That's Origins. We'll be adding that to the list as well.
Yeah, Origins is but Dead Island 2 got nominated for Best Action Game. I knew deep down it was never gonna win it, but at least it got
Yeah,
nominated for something.
I'm very happy with who won though.
Oh yeah, Armored Core.
Yeah. Oh, have you played Armored Core?
I haven't played it yet, no. I've talked with
Oh,
you a few
no.
times about it, and I've watched your videos on it, but I have yet to play it. It's still on my wish list, especially since I'm a big FromSoft fan. And I've played Armored Core in the past on an old arcade VR set. So it's like one of those things where it's an arcade machine where you pull down this like VR headset above you and you put it over your eyes and you turn while you're still holding the handles. And it's
So
got
like
like,
gives you like a complete like full immersive
yeah, yeah.
experience.
It's pretty cool actually. It's a really old thing, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I played it at an old arcade that used to be at a campground we used to go to.
Wow.
Also where
Oh,
I played a
the
lot of House
ACC.
of the Dead as well.
Oh, House of the Dead. The remake came out like last year or the year before, right?
Yeah, it did, yeah. Have you ever played House of the Dead?
No, I have not. Maybe I'll pick it up for the Switch because like I feel like it works pretty well with like the Joy Cons maybe.
Yeah, so before we go off on a tangent, about to tangent into House of the Dead, but before I tangent into House of Dead, um, who do you like? What is your favorite game of the entire year?
But that's a tough question because are we going just new releases or are we also including like older titles that I've played?
Let's go with your favorite game of the year that released this year. Then we'll go to the next one.
Okay, right. So I kind of don't want to give it away too much because I got the video coming out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
But
Is your video on your favorite game of the year, like released this year or played this year?
played this year, which includes a lot of games that released this year.
Is the game in question one that released this year?
It is a game that we did release this
Damn
year.
it! Never mind then. What's your runner up?
So the runner-up is also a game from this year. In fact, the top 3 games that I played this year were from games that came out this year.
Okay, well, is there anything that you can say without spoiling your video?
I think I can like list like that. A lot of like the games that you'd expect that were heavy hitters. They
Right.
like from this year, like they're ranking very very high up. Like Alan Wake 2, Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3. They're very high up on the list.
Right.
But there are also some like older titles that made it also pretty high on the list as well. I mean,
Your Cyberpunk's one of them.
A Cyberpunk I can't say is it's getting like a very strong honorable mention this year because I had it last year on my list at second place.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I mean, I figured it'd be in there somewhere.
That game was incredible. Phantom Liberty, like as an expansion, was.
I've heard that. I haven't finished Cyberpunk and I haven't finished Phantom Liberty, but both will happen eventually.
Yeah, no. Right now, like Cyberpunk in the state it is now with the new 2.1 update, it's a completely different game than what it was released.
Oh yeah, no,
like almost 3 years ago now.
Saw that. I'm gonna have to readjust into that because they changed like the way some skills and stuff like that work and way you upgrade and
the whole perk tree.
They changed everything, which is awesome because it seems like it's all changes for the better though.
Yeah, I mean considering all like that like CD Projekt they took the time to fix the game like really means a lot because like they spent like so much money and I don't think they recovered that spent on Cyberpunk, but took the time and effort and like the will to fix their mistakes and they've done an incredible job, I'd have to say.
Yeah, no, they really pulled a No Man's Sky comeback.
A No Man's Sky.
I never thought that they would have, but they did it. I mean, it's probably one of the only games that will ever be able to do that. Redfall definitely won't do that.
Yeah,
that game is
the development, right?
Huh?
They like stopped development on it, right? Or
on Redfall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like they're kind of dropping it, which I mean makes logical sense, given its poor reception. But I think they're gonna have an internal studio do maintenance and stuff, so they can still keep updating and everything. But I mean, that game is like fundamentally broken from the ground up. So, it was a rushed job. There's a lot of passion in it, but it's such a it's such a stripped out version of anything they've ever made.
Yeah, and it's also, from what I understood, it's not like an immersive sim like what Arcane is usually known for.
Well, it is, and no, it really isn't because it doesn't really have any freedom to anything. There's not really anything you can interact with. There's rarely any like creativity to how you approach situations, even though they try to make it seem that way in the tutorial, but then after the tutorial there's nothing. I mean, you literally are forced down a linear path to get to your objective right after that tutorial that is blocked off by fog that damages you.
Oh wow, that's
in an open town that you should be able to freely explore, but you can't. It's really stupid. That game's got a lot of issues. Could have been great, but it wasn't. So whatever. But it is what it is. That does bring me to.
It'll be interesting to see what they do next, Arcane Austin.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do next. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I guess it was just a weird choice to make after Deathloop. I don't know why they did what they did with Redfall. I mean, but
Deathloop was made by Leon, right?
Yeah. But it was a lot of internal struggles there with Redfall, it seemed. But
Yeah.
either way, Deathloop was a game that took everything great about kind of Dishonored and Prey and stuff like that, and kind of melded it into one thing that made the game a little bit less of an immersive sim and more of a first person shooter with immersive sim elements. A lot more complex than that of BioShock, but Deathloop is kind of like Arcane's BioShock Infinite, where it kind of strips away a lot but keeps a little. And it
Okay.
is more of an immersive sim than Redfall, but it still isn't quite a full blown immersive sim. And it's more linear of a game with a little bit of deviation. Um, it's really good and it's really well made. I haven't finished it or beat it. I played it on Game Pass a while back before I did a collaboration with High Functioning Medium and his Deathloop video, where I
Okay.
did a whole section talking about how Deathloop is Arcane's Prey. What? Deathloop
Arcane's
is
Bioshock Infinite.
Arcane's BioShock Infinite, and you know, funny enough, Medium agreed with me on that, and he actually did finish the game, played through it multiple times and all that for the video. But definitely a pretty good video, by the way. Um, but yeah, and it is cool. But I'm really excited to see what Leon's gonna do with
Blade.
Blade.
Yeah, that.
Is one of my favorite Marvel characters ever, some of my favorite movies ever, and that trailer was badass as shit. And I
Yeah.
can tell you this, that fundamentally, from what Leon did with Dishonored 2 and what they did with Deathloop, I don't think it's going to be a Redfall situation, right? I think it's still
No,
going to be
definitely not.
a largely single player game, and they said that they're going to go back to their roots more so than they did with Deathloop. And the thing is that they're easily going to be able to do that. Because the reason that Deathloop was made was because Dishonored 2 and Prey didn't do well, right?
Yeah.
So they tried to make a game that was pretty close to what they made before, but dumbed down enough for your average player, and it worked. It is by far one of Arcane's best-selling games ever. And
Hmm.
Prey just so happened to be the most immersive sim ever made, which is insanely hard to market with a shitty name. So it got pretty rough in reception, and
Part.
that wasn't good for Austin. So they tried to get Arcane Austin to do the same thing, and Arcane Austin fumbled it because of just development woes.
Yeah.
And then, but because of the success of Deathloop, that means Leon gets less slack and gets more freedom. Just like because of the success of Dishonored 1, Prey got an infinite budget and all that freedom for Raphael. Dinga is going to get that freedom for Blade, which seems to be something he's very passionate about.
Yeah.
And they said they're going to go back to their roots and make an immersive sim again. And, damn it, if they're not doing what Raphael did with Weird West and pushing the boundaries of what an immersive sim is, because Raph with Weird West did an immersive sim from a isometric perspective, like a CRPG, but it's still an immersive sim. And Dinga said the Blade game is going to be a third person game. And I'm like, hell yeah, keep pushing those boundaries.
Yeah. No. Like, when I saw that interview of Dinga at the Game Awards, like you just get the feeling that this guy he's not going to miss. He's going to make like the best
Oh
game
yeah.
that he possibly can.
I think that Dinga is the closest thing to a Raphael that studio still has. I think Dinga is the biggest driving force of creativity left within Arcane. Don't get me wrong, I really like Harvey Smith. He's the one that's over Arcane Austin.
Yeah.
But Harvey Smith is no Raphael. He's no Dinga. He's really good at what he does, but I mean, just compare Deathloop to Redfall, and you're looking at two directors, right? Compare Prey to um, Redfall or something. But at the same time, Harvey was the one behind. He was the one leading the Dishonored 2 development. He was the director of that, and Dinga was like his right hand man at that point. Dinga's now
Right.
moved up to be like the head of Leon after
Lead
Raph left,
director.
and then Steve Harvey went back to Arcade Austin, because when Dishonored 2 and Prey were being made, Raphael went to Austin and Harvey went to Leon.
Right.
Um, but Harvey's still a cool dude too. He's behind Deus Ex and all that kind of stuff. He's a really awesome guy as well. But he's just had a
Yeah.
little
No.
bit of round of bad luck,
Yeah. No.
which
Yeah.
isn't gonna help the ability for them to do something they really want to do in the future with Arcane Austin. It really isn't. Sucks.
Yeah, but I think at least like I mean with the like considering that like they're owned by Microsoft, I think Phil Spencer, you know, I think he seems like he'll allow them to like or give them the budget of sorts to like continue trying to do what they want to do.
Yeah, I think Microsoft and Xbox are going to open up a lot of alleyways that they were never given under ZeniMax like default. But now
Yeah.
that Microsoft they got that Microsoft money and stuff, dude. I mean, the things that have been accomplished with things like Wasteland 3 and stuff like Pentiment and Grounded, these games that are much smaller on scale,
Yeah.
like Grounded and Pentiment, these are games that like nowhere else would you be able to make them, and this is just like one developer's small team. And both those games, Pentiment and Grounded, being made completely out of left field, unpopular genres, made by people with a
Passionate
vision
people.
within the same studio. Even that's
Yeah.
and now
All right. True. Grounded is by Obsidian. It is.
yeah, yeah, and it's actually one of the best survival games out there as well. But
Man, I need to pick up
it's really
an
good.
Xbox Series S at some point
Yeah,
to play
it's
all
really
these
good.
Xbox games.
But and then Wasteland 3 got finished and became something way greater than it was originally going to be because of Microsoft and their funding. And now, In Exile is making a new RPG game that looks a little bit more Fallout-esque and it's first person and stuff. I mean, Obsidian's also working on Avowed and Outer Worlds 2. Um, they'll
They got a lot
probably
of
get
stuff cooking.
yeah, and they'll probably get money to make another Pillars of Eternity. Um, it's probably gonna happen. Compulsion Games, the people behind We Happy Few, a game that I doubt you've heard of or played.
Oh, I've heard a lot about it. I remember watching lots of Let's Plays of it, like
Really?
when it
Okay.
released. Yeah.
Um, okay, so Compulsion, they're working on that new game they announced. I forget what it's called. Something midnight something. It looks like in the Bayou or whatever. Seems like it's going to be another very unique thing with a lot of money behind it. A lot of, and there's a lot of unique things coming out of Xbox Studios. And a lot of them are more niche and pushing the boundaries, which makes it harder for the average person to play it. But because of Game Pass, it makes it easier for them to get access to it, which means that they're going to have a higher chance of playing it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like PlayStation, their games are good, but they all kind of fall into the same category, right? They're all very handholdy for the most part, and they're kind of very, story driven, narrative mostly experiences. They don't really deviate outside of that very much. Um, Even though they're
Yeah.
great,
That's true.
they don't deviate. They've had the same formula for the last 10 years.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, that makes them money, and they're still making a ton of games. And they're kind of leading the exclusives of any games out there. Like, they have the most but they have a formula they stick to, and it works. You know what I mean? It's just like this very largely linear, story driven narrative experience. Not stuff like Spider-Man and uh, whatever, but those still are games that are kind of taking that Ubisoft formula and just kind of repeating it in a way, even if they're doing other cool things at the same time. But you can kind of tell like how some of these things are slowly starting to get like rushed out. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. And it's a bit strange, like
they're
because
not going for niche
like
markets at all.
yeah. But at the same time, they're not. I mean, this year alone, they've only published like one like big Sony like exclusive,
Yeah, which
being
actually
Spider-Man 2.
is quite surprising
Yeah. Also,
given over the last few years and stuff.
I mean, I don't know what's Sony's output going to be next year. I think they've got Wolverine, maybe. Don't know what
Yeah,
else.
yeah. I mean, I'm surprised we didn't hear about Wolverine at the Game Awards. I guess they're waiting for the PSX.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
But at least we got Hellblade 2 confirmed for next year.
yeah.
That looks
That
phenomenal.
game, yeah, incredible
The
visuals.
first one's great if you never played it, by the way. Add that to your hack and slash list.
All right. Oh, it's a hack and slash too.
Oh, it is. Yeah, yeah. It's a hack
Oh,
and
okay, right,
slash puzzle solving walking simulator esque game if you had to really nail it down.
right. That's a lot of genres in one. Hellblade onto the list. Got it.
But it's phenomenal. It's probably one of the first games and one of the best interpretations of mental health in a game too.
Oh, that'll be interesting to take a dive into and
Yeah, yeah.
analyze.
It deals a lot with psychosis.
Oh,
Yeah, both visually in the game as well as through the character. Pretty cool. It also was
I'm
one of the
intrigued.
first games to fully implement 3D binaural audio back in like 2016 or 17.
All right, it's on the list. Where do you recommend playing it, on the PlayStation or the Switch?
Oh man, probably PlayStation. Yeah.
PlayStation. All right.
Because you what do you have? You have PS5?
Yeah, PS5. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely PS5 because it's
Okay.
upscaled on there. It runs better, runs at 60, all that stuff. But also the visuals are going to be slightly improved. You get to play at 4K, whereas the Switch you're not going to, and stuff like that. Because it supported 4K when it launched on the Xbox One X, um, and stuff. So yeah, I mean, and it looks beautiful. You don't need to play it in performance either. Play it in quality. Performance is good,
Okay.
but it's not one of those games where it matters too much, and it's not like bad in quality. But the quality you want because it's such a beautiful game as well, and you'd be impressed by how old it is, like from 2017, and how good it looks compared to games today. By might I add, a small studio in Ninja Theory,
Oh yeah,
and
I
even to
heard they're
this
very
day,
small.
making Hellblade 2, they're still a small studio, just pushing boundaries as far as they can. Um, yeah, it's a very impressive game actually in a lot of ways. It also has a mixture of Norse and Celtic mythology.
Yes, always got to love some European representation.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. It does a lot of cool stuff. It's definitely a game you got to play. Um, but the cool thing with the 3D audio, so I would suggest playing it with like a good headset if you have one.
Okay.
Um, because she has psychosis, so she hears voices in her head. There's different voices, and there's also voices of other people, for different scenarios. But you can hear them like in the different channels. You know what I mean? Like it's
All
coming
right.
from your left, your right, or behind you, or in front of you. They also use that for enemies and knowing their location.
Okay, so kind of like
It
just
does a
like
lot with
the voices of
audio.
the Alan Wake 2 enemies,
Yes,
just
yes.
to
It's
a higher
probably
degree.
yeah, it's probably I mean, those are probably two of the only games that really do that. There's
Okay.
not many games that really mess with the 3D audio yet. It's still early. Not too many games mess with it. Other than shooters. Shooters use it for footsteps and stuff, but
Oh yeah,
um
yeah.
not many games mess with the audio much. I think Alan Wake 2 is probably one of the biggest examples since 2017.
And pulled it off in style.
Oh yeah, they pulled it off wonderfully. Yeah, so yeah, that's that. This has been a varied conversation. But
We've been jumping all over the place.
oh yeah, it's been all that's how I like it though. Crazy
Yeah.
conversation, just let it go as it goes. I was gonna get back to like game of the year since you can't really say a whole lot about that. I mean, you've mentioned Spider-Man 2 a lot, so I know that one's pretty high up there for you. You like that one quite a bit. Um,
We'll see.
but I'd like to because I think my game of the year for many different reasons is Dead Island 2. Um,
Because you're a big Dead Island guy.
yeah, I am, and so I'm gonna give this opportunity. I'm gonna let you because I feel like I've been talking too much and not letting you talk that much. But um, if you want to ask me any questions about like Dead Island or about the channel or podcasts and stuff like that, I can answer some questions for you. And if you want to
But
also talk about like your inspirations for getting into YouTube and some stuff like that, that'd be cool.
so I mean, like one question that I want to know like about your, because you've been doing this for like 10 years, right, or something like that, or that's like when your oldest
Uh,
first video came out, I think.
yeah. So, well, my first video, if you go, so have you went all the way back to my first video?
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks ago maybe I checked like on the like oldest video. It said like 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was like 10 years ago. But my actual because there's some videos I got rid of, but my channel actually goes back. The actual age of my channel goes back like 14 years.
Wow, 2009.
Yeah, there's some videos before that that were a little bit older. Some that I got rid of. Some are just private.
So like what I'm interested in knowing is like how did you like how have you like evolved your content? Like how did you like come to the point where you like enjoy doing what you're doing now?
That's an interesting one, man. I've talked about that with a few other people on the podcast here and there, but I'll dive into it a little bit deeper here. So I grew up with a lot of people at that time. I'm 25 now. How old are you? You don't
I'm
mind me asking?
a bit younger, a bit younger.
Bit younger.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to say the exact age?
No, I'm gonna try and be as anonymous as possible, but I
That
can tell
works.
you after maybe, but like I'm a couple
Okay,
years
yeah,
younger.
that's you're good, man. That's fine. I'm not trying to. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so a bit younger. Okay, so you may not have been there for the boom of YouTube stuff, kind of those early days. Now, I wasn't there like very, very beginning because I was pretty young. The guy that I talked to, Stippo, he's literally been on YouTube since YouTube started, like very beginning.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that podcast, and it was
Yeah, yeah,
like wild to think about.
yeah, yeah. He was like there very beginning, you know. But I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I was like, it'd be cool as hell to be a YouTuber, you know. Back then, it was like, I mean, the big thing was Let's Plays, but this was before FNAF and stuff. Like, that was before Let's Plays blew up. But there was like Let's Plays. It was a lot more people playing. This was also before Minecraft a little bit when I first started watching and stuff. I couldn't really tell you what was popular at the time. I watched a lot of Call
But
of
like,
Duty and stuff like that. I did watch reviews back then. It's funny to see how IGN and stuff have evolved, and I actually got to see it in real time. Um, but when I eventually got into um doing videos and stuff, the funniest part is that when I first started doing videos, I always wanted to do them, but I really didn't have many ways to do it. I didn't even have a computer at this. When I first started making videos, I didn't have a computer. So there's an interesting story to this. When I first got my first touchscreen phone, was it my touchscreen phone?
or an iPod, maybe.
Trying to think. I recorded. No, actually, I think I might have. I think I might have recorded a couple of videos on my iPod Touch 2.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I got that in this storage container right next to me. And I think I recorded some stuff on there. And then I got my first like touchscreen phone, which was like this kind of bulky HTC Touch Pro something. It had like a little pin and it folded up with a keyboard and all that stuff. It was crappy, man. It was terrible cameras and stuff. And so I recorded with those things. And funny enough, to be able to, I had recorded my TV for years. I don't know how many of those old videos you checked out, but there's a lot
I
of
saw a
old
couple of them.
gameplay videos and unboxings and stuff like that I did. Before I did unboxings, there was a lot of gameplay videos. There's some stuff of like glitches and Call of Duty maps and just some versus games and stuff like that. So I would take a controller and like a TV remote and kind of stack them up together. I had like this old, it was like a shelf from a bookshelf that I laid on
Yeah.
top of two storage containers, and then I would angle my phone on that because I didn't have a way to prop it up, didn't have a tripod, and then I'd angle it right, I'd zoom it in, and I'd record. There's no
Wow.
editing, there was no nothing. I didn't have a computer. And so you're
Just
wondering
raw
how did
footage.
you yeah, how did you upload this? Is probably something you might be thinking. Because at the time you could not upload video from the mobile version of YouTube at this time. That was not a thing. That didn't exist. Um,
So
so
you had
I
to
had
transfer it.
to, yeah, I did. So my granddad always had a computer and stuff. My grandparents did not want me to have a YouTube, and those are the ones that raised me and stuff.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want me to have one. So what I did was I snuck into my granddad's computer room where he did all his stuff because he sells stuff online and all that, and he has like a big room with stuff in it. I would sneak in there, plug my phone up to the computer, upload the videos to my account, edit them later. Then I would delete and remove all proof of me ever doing that, and free to go. And I did that for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's dedication
yeah,
from
I did that
from a
for
very early
yeah,
age.
yeah, I did that for a long time until I. All right, so yeah, and so eventually I got a um another better phone or whatever. I still had to do that for a little bit until they eventually updated it where you can upload videos through the app, which I think at the time they had a limit of videos could only be like 3 minutes long or something.
Really? I
Yeah,
remember
I don't.
like at one point like the limit was, I don't know, 10 maybe.
Yeah, I think there for a little bit it was like 3 to 5, and I don't know if that was a
Wow.
mobile thing or what. And then eventually they moved it to 10 at some point, and so yeah, I had to deal with all that stuff. So I was still recording for years with gameplay stuff like that. So, but I got to a point where I was like, well, these gameplay videos and stuff, they're not doing well. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're like something I like making per se. I just kind of did it for fun. I was like, what is something that I could do within my means? And I still attempted to do reviews and stuff like that back then with that same method of just recording gameplay and talking over it. But I was like, what is something I can do that I could stick with and would be easy to do within what I have access to? And that became unboxings. I'd get my siblings or friends to hold the camera, or I'd prop it up, and I did unboxings for years. Um, most of them falling under 5 minutes long, and that worked, and that's what I did for. I pretty much mostly exclusively did unboxings for nearly 6 years or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I saw like your most like viewed video is like the Resident Evil unboxing, I think.
Oh yeah, you saw that? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a minute and 20 seconds or something, and it's
Is it-
got like 50, 60,000 views.
Yeah.
It gets views every day. I've checked it multiple
That's
times. It literally gets views every day.
crazy.
I've had a lot of interaction with that video too. Like, there's been all kinds of people comment on it and stuff, but like, it gets views every day. So short, so simple, nothing complex to it. I evolved the unboxing format like years after that. But at that time, man, it was just like, hey, I opened the box, here's the thing, blah blah blah. Like, that was it. Wasn't nothing special to it. Later on, I would like talk about it. Oh man, I've heard about this movie. I've heard about this game. Of blah blah. I want to play it. Blah blah. Here's the stuff. I'd read off the thing, all that stuff. I evolved it over time, and eventually, I would get better phones. That meant better cameras. And
Better quality
probably
and everything.
yeah. And eventually, I got a tripod, which changed everything because I wasn't trying to open boxes with one hand, which I did for like 5 years.
Wow.
I would have to, in a lot of those videos, I would have to pause the video, then open the case, unpause the video, which that just looks like a cut,
Yeah.
and then I would open it and everything. That was it, right? And eventually, I'd got a tripod, and that made things a lot easier. I could really evolve from there because I actually opened something with two hands in front of me, And then eventually, my fiance bought me that clip-on mic, which continued to evolve it. Man, that sounded better. And I started trying to make thumbnails and for the first time, and I made an intro. You can go back and find when I first implemented an intro. The first video that had an intro was a compilation of pictures. It's called Adventure Compilation with Friends or something, where it was like a bunch of like screenshots of me and my friends playing Sea of Thieves and uh, Grounded and a few other
Good times.
things. Yeah. That was my first intro, and now I'm on my third different intro, my third different outro at this point.
The Dead Forge, the current Dead Forge intro.
Yeah, yeah, the current Dead Forge intro. Dead Forge has had two intros. No, I guess I'm at the fourth actually. So
Oh,
when I was still
wow.
Lord of the RPG, um, I had two intros, and then as Dead Forge, this is my second intro.
Okay, because I remember like when I think I went a bit back on your channel or like your Twitter or something, and I realized because I only got to know you like post name change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, actually, yeah, I think I've only had one since no, maybe this is the only one since No, this is the only one since I became Dead Forge. The one before that was still Lord of the RPG. Never mind. Yeah, so I did a whole overhaul because I got my friend Riv to make me a banner and a logo. Uh, High Functioning Medium helped me come up with the name Dead Forge, and then I did a whole rebrand. I didn't release anything for months. I did a channel update showing off the intro and the new outro. I feel like there was a different intro, or
I mean, either way, the intro now is pretty fire.
no, it
Gotta
was yeah,
say.
no, it was yeah, no. And then I did the intro and all that and the outro, and it's been that way for a little bit now. Yeah.
Like
It's
that's a
it's
lot of
actually
evolution over the past 14 years or something like that.
oh yeah, yeah. And actually, if you look back over the last year and a half, that's where I did most of the evolving. If you go
With
back a
the video
year,
essays.
go back to my, you can find it, just scroll down and go to my video where it really started was my video on Cyberpunk. Was where the direction of my channel started changing.
Were you more pivoted towards the like video game discussion or and like essays or?
That's where I started finally feeling like I could really make good reviews and stuff. But ironically, even with that video, I was still recording my TV with my phone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that wasn't that long ago. And then eventually they made it was a little bit, I'm trying to think. It was a little bit after that or before that, they made it where you could start saving your captures from Xbox on your phone, like through the app, which you couldn't do before. And once again, that was another game changer because then I had a way to record footage. I still didn't have a laptop yet. I mean, I had a crappy laptop I've had since I was in like high school, but it's really bad. It was like an old HP. I think it was even
Oh
outdated
wow.
when it was bought for me. So I still didn't have a computer to do anything. So, but I could finally start doing that. So I downloaded a video editor. There was a video editor I used before the one that I have on my phone right now. Um, and so I got that. I still had my clip-on mic. So the Cyberpunk video was before I could save my clips. I think I might have had a couple clips, and then I recorded some on my phone because I recorded some on my phone before they made the change. And so then I would have that, right? So what I did was I used the app that I got to download or to record audio through the app. I'd have to put the video on there, and then as the video went, I would just talk and do what I did, and then I would put the intro and outro on there. That was that. I don't even know if I had an intro at that point or not. I might have not.
Oh.
Then you can go from there and jump to my Little Nightmares 2 video, which was the first time I attempted scripting and then instantly dropped it. Because I didn't like the way it sounded because I sound like a robot.
I know like finding the like perfect balance between like scripting and making it sound natural is it's pretty tough balance.
It is hard. I think I've got it now, right? I think I've done pretty good at figuring it out.
Definitely. With the part you did on my recent video,
well, thank you.
Incredible.
I think I've gotten to a point because it's a weird thing. Your brain is like scripting. I need to read it exactly the way I wrote it or whatever, and you like sound like you're just reading off of a, you know, a teleprompter, like you're a news reporter or something.
Yeah.
But you forget that it doesn't matter how you write it. It doesn't matter how you type it. It doesn't matter if you could write the whole thing and it make absolutely no damn sense. You ain't got no commas in there. You don't have any exclamation points, nothing. As long as you know what you're talking about, when you're saying it, you can make it sound exactly how you want it to.
Yeah.
But, so I did that for a while, and eventually, let me look quick. There's a point where everything changed. I decided to buy a mic, and at this point I was using gameplay from my Xbox and stuff, I think. And okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the number's 2. Okay, so after that, I was still doing unboxings around this time, right? And this is about 2 years ago, actually. So there's a lot of evolution in the last 2 years. It's about 2 years ago. And then I eventually made a video on Psychonauts 2.
Okay, yeah.
Still a very unique video that I did. The way I did it was funny. But it was using that same process, right? Recording the audio over the video and no scripting. And then I went on to make several videos on Back for Blood, like impressions and stuff like that. And that was just further going towards that direction. I released my first channel update prior to the Psychonauts 2 video, just saying things are going to change and all this stuff. And I did a ton of Back for Blood stuff. I made impressions on Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy and Aliens Fireteam Elite. And then more unboxing stuff. I made a review on Guardians of the Galaxy. It's still the only game on my channel that's copyrighted. I'm probably going to delete it and get rid of it because
the
video
why
sucks.
Copyrighted?
Because I have a lot of the music from the game in it. A lot of copyrighted music from... It's a terrible video. It's not very good. I have a clip in there that's in there twice that I didn't mean to even be in there. It's only got 18 views. It's got 4 likes, no comments. It's just not a good video. It's a terrible thumbnail. Is before I really figured out what the hell I was doing with thumbnails. And I'm still not great at it, but I've gotten better. And so, whatever, that happened. And then there was like And then I made a little I recommend the Forgotten City game video, and then I literally didn't make anything for about a year, I think. About close to a year, it looks like the time gap. Maybe not have been that long,
Yeah,
but it was pretty close to a year. And then it was all unboxings and everything. I did a few impressions video. And the first step in that direction was I did a video on Rise Son of Rome, which has my intro for Lord RPG, the first intro I ever made, and outro, and it was like a whole retrospective kind of thing on that game. Was it great? Not really. The audio balancing is terrible, but it's still a really good video in my opinion, and it still is like a landmark achievement. And then I recorded a video on Dying Light 2, which was like the last video I did that shows me like talking, like you can almost see like full body. I'm sitting on my couch talking as part of this video with mixed in with I think there was some gameplay in there, I'm not sure. And it's kind of a funny one. I don't know why I did it. It was the first time you've seen my, like if you follow my channel, the first time you would see me in a long time. And then I did my first ever essay type video on an indie game called The First Tree, which was a huge. At that point, I started doing scripting again. I think I
the
did
comeback to
scripting in the
scripting.
video. I think I came back to scripting lightly. And it was just slowly working out my process. I did some more impressions, whatever. There were some time skips and whatever. I dabbled with shorts, and then the big thing happened. I found To Games That May Concern, and I fell in love with Ruben and his brother's stuff. And
Great videos.
we started talking a lot, and I was talking about, hey, I was thinking about doing this video on Elden Ring and some other stuff and blah blah, and that's just that that's a little around a year ago, and I was he's like, you should do it, man, like you should do it and all this stuff, and I was like, man, yeah, I know, well, and then uh I made that Elden Ring video. It was unscripted. It's like 7 minutes long. It's Elden Ring Play Your Way. Play the way you want and believe in yourself was the name of the title. And then I went to make a little thing on Donut County, which was my first Prey video, which is pretty decent. And then, it just kind of went from there. I made a review discussion on
Kept
Saints
going.
Row and Straw Humans, and then I did the next large step in redefining my channel, thumbnails, everything, was my Gloomwood review. And I think with that one, I still had the same old intro, but I think at that point I had a new mic, which is the mic I have right now. Yeah, I think I had a new
Right.
mic. I dabbled in some different editing. At this point, I had my computer, and this was the first video where I recorded gameplay, because the other ones, like from Elden Ring on, were recorded gameplay from my
The system
Xbox
itself.
and edited on my phone on that old
Right.
app. And then this one was the first one I recorded on OBS and did on my and I did this on my phone as well. But also a thing that you might not know is that Elden Ring video, also going forward, I recorded my audio through OBS, which recorded it like this, which is a audio version of a video file. It's a
Yeah.
video file, which is audio, no picture, which I use to take to my phone to put over videos, which, by the way, takes up a lot of space.
It
Video
does.
files
Yeah.
are bigger than audio. That's what I did for a long time. Was recording audio into a video file without changing it or anything, because I didn't have a way to do it. So that kept going, and then I did like a thing on Dead Island 2, and then I started doing essays. It's Artful Escape, Before Your Eyes. My big video that was the most effort I put into anything was my Dead Rising video. Then my next channel update, and then it just kept going, kept going. And I was just changing the direction. And I think it was somewhere around, I think it was the Dead Rising video, or let's see. Or maybe it was my video right after Gloomwood. To Games That May Concern mentioned Audacity. So I got Audacity. Recorded through there. That changed everything. I didn't have to download these big ass video files anymore. I had audio files.
Yeah.
Then I started, and then I did my Gloomwood video, which was one that was edited on Audacity. The Gloomwood video, and then so onward. And then on my Gloomwood video, Arkham666, another awesome guy, sent me a video on how to edit audio files on Audacity, and I did that. And then I found another one, which is what I use today, on how to edit stuff, and it changed a lot. You know what I mean? That changed the quality of my sound and everything, and I figured out about filters and all kinds of other things. And things just kept changing, man. And all the way into the
Kept
beginning of this
evolving.
year
Kept
in
grinding.
2023, with the mic, the whole setup, the Audacity, everything, and just the way I record. I get gameplay from like my Xbox. I get gameplay from PC. It all works together. I got a new mobile app. I got way better at editing and putting together audio and video and changing the way I edit, man. And that goes back to like some of my Mad Max videos and just the craziness that I've released in the last 12 months.
Where you've like
Has
really
been
like found
crazy.
your stride.
Yeah, and it's just been all over the place, and then started. I mean, I've been doing a podcast for like 2 or 3 years, maybe, yeah, 3 years. But there was a big hiatus there for a while until I got High Functioning Medium on there. So I have audio ones because it's on Spotify. I have audio ones before I started doing video. The first one with video was I think it was with Frankly the first time, which I released that recently on YouTube, but it's been on Spotify for a while. That was the first one that was video. For a long time, it was just audio podcast.
Well,
Um, yeah, and then I got my interview with Rafael Colantonio.
that was a
This,
pretty that was a very great that was a great
oh,
interview.
that's still one of the best things that have ever happened to me while doing this, man. And then I've also done like when I first did my very first collaboration was with High Functioning Medium on his Aliens Fireteam Elite video. I've now done 3 with him, 1 with you, FF7, um, The Laziest Writer, all kinds of stuff. And I started getting better with thumbnails here and there. I'm not amazing. Our pal Shkotsky, who just or I think you know Shkotsky, don't you?
Don't think I do. No.
Okay, well you need to check out Shkotsky. He just I'll invite you to his Discord later. He just rebranded and he's gonna be making a big comeback. But he makes
All right.
phenomenal essays. He is a actual like film editor by trade now,
Oh
or has
wow,
been.
that's
So he's pretty damn good at what he does. But he just rebranded. He made several thumbnails for me for a little while on like a Prey video and a Far Cry Primal video and a Mad Max video, Island Life video, and Callisto Protocol, stuff like that. Yeah, and I mean I just kept going, man, and all the way to today, and doing a lot more essays, a lot more podcasts, a lot more interviews. Still doing a haul or an unboxing here or there. And all of this I've still been editing mostly on my phone.
I know that's one of the most like impressive things. Like
Yeah, all of it.
just doing everything on the phone is just
I
like
made my
I
intros.
wouldn't have the
Yeah, I mean, I made
I
my
wouldn't have the
intros on my
patience to do that.
phone. I know, right? And that's what everybody says. They're like, "How are you doing what you're doing?" I'm like, "Dude, I tried the best with what I have. I mean, go back to me literally sneaking in and uploading gameplay videos of me playing Call of Duty and running around showing off glitches and Fallout and stuff
Yeah.
on my granddad's computer, uploading it, or propping stuff up and doing unboxings on a bookshelf and some TV remotes. I mean, I've been working with scraps forever. I'm just doing what I can with what I got. And,
Been
you
grinding
know,
for 14 years.
yeah. And I mean, as I been starting to do the podcasts on um YouTube, I've been converting them over and I've been starting to do video for podcasts, right? So the ones and those are pretty easy to do. I don't do a whole lot of editing to them. But the ones that are like my interview with Stippo, my interview with Rob I did recently, those ones are audio, like what we're doing, but with
Yeah.
video edited. And, for me, a little while because I've been trying to learn DaVinci for like the last year. And, they were kind of hard for me at first. And then I started getting used to them. And now what I'm working on right now, and I did one video that was edited on PC, but it was really small and short. It was my video on Viewfinder. All these things have been
Ah,
leading up to what I'm making right now, which is the next evolution of me.
the next evolution, the next step in the Dead Forge process.
100%. It's a change to full PC editing for videos going forward. It is a video that is fully edited in the intro and the outro to it, which are, by the way, completely unique to the video, not my normal thing, but they're made from scratch by me for the video specifically. Um,
Well,
those were made on my phone. Everything else was edited on PC. using all the Audacity tricks I have now, the editing, using this new, DaVinci Resolve PC editing software, editing everything on my PC. And this is a very retrospective review with personal connection. Not much essay, but maybe have elements of that vibe in certain areas. Um, with a little bit of history of, and that's my Darkness 2 project that I've been working on for a while, which hopefully is getting released soon. I've been building a hype train. I even opened up a Reddit for it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it doesn't have the Darkness games don't have a Reddit, so I made a subreddit for it.
I can't wait to see what's next to come.
Oh, dude,
It's
it's
gonna be
gonna be
exciting.
good. Be good. It's the most time I've ever put into a video. The script alone, I've been working on for the last year and a half.
You've been cooking.
I've been cooking. It's gonna be interesting. I'm having a good time with it too, and there's also a special guest in there. So,
Yeah, pretty exciting.
so collaboration is the first one that like I've had on one of my videos, which would be cool. So I don't know if that answered your question. That was a lot of me talking.
That's given me a pretty deep and insightful look into the evolution of Dead Force.
Glad I could provide that for you. Hopefully that answered your question.
Did.
Any other questions?
I think that answered like all the questions all in one. Yeah.
Okay. You know, like before, I'm a huge Dead Island fan. Obviously I've been waiting for Dead Island 2 for a long time. And for me it hit everything that it needed to and more. I have a huge Dead Island collection. I'll actually send you this picture that I took years ago of my whole collection. I think I've added Dead Island 2 to that collection. You know what? Just for you, I'll put the collection all back together and take a big picture of it and I'll send it to you.
All right. Yes.
I have
The
a, I have
Dead
a,
Island
cu-
collection.
I have a custom Dead Island controller. Like a one and only one in the world. Only one exists. Type controller.
Limited. Did you make it yourself, or did you like get someone
No,
to like make it?
I paid a guy called Undead Gaming UK to make it several years ago,
Oh wow.
and no other exists like that one specifically because he makes things. Now there are things that he makes that they're the same that you can order off his like shop, but the things you get custom made are only exactly like that. He also made me a Prey controller, which I'll send you a picture of as well. The Prey controller, the faceplate got scuffed up a little bit, so I was gonna replace it. And I think he was being cautious that like he thought maybe I was gonna like put it on another controller and sell it. Because I asked him if I could pay him to like he said he'd throw in another faceplate for it. When I ordered the Dead Island controller from him. And he did, but the faceplate is not the same. It's different. It's the same idea, but it's a little different. Because he, like I said, he only makes them unique. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I was like, that makes sense. I mean, I wanted the same thing. So I didn't replace it. I just kept the same scuffed faceplate on it, and I used the other faceplate as a collectible, basically. I just prop it up in my collection.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but that's that, man. Have you ever played the Dead Island games?
No, I've not. I've not played Dead Island either. There's so much I need to play.
Yeah,
and so much I've like missed out on.
I've been gaming for. I'm 25. I've been gaming for about 23 years. So
since you're 2.
Since I was like 2 years old. Yeah.
I remember like my first console was like the Leapfrog.
Yeah, I had a Leapfrog. I had what is it? Oh, you're talking. Crap. It has a different name. It's the Leapfrog brand or whatever, but it's
or like a VTech, right? Or
yeah, VTech. Yeah. I didn't have one of those. My brother and sister had one of those.
Oh wow!
But those things are cool as hell. They're actually super expensive. I was gonna buy my kid one, but because you have to like you can't find them anywhere but like eBay and stuff. Really hard to find.
Yeah.
But I was gonna get my kid one. I think they're like $80 now though.
Oh well, that's.
But I'm still tempted because they're cool as hell.
I remember there was like a Sonic X game on it.
Yeah,
on the Leapfrog.
And there's a few other licensed ones on there, which was cool. And they're like very simple kind of learning games, but they were cool. I remember my brother and sister played them a lot. But I always thought it was cool because they have a cartridge and everything. It was just really interesting. But yeah, I mean, Dude, the
That was
Dead
a long
Island
time
games are
ago.
really cool if you like looter kind of games and stuff like that, and you like action games
Or
and
like Borderlands.
yeah, it's kind of like if you took the formula of Borderlands to a degree, and it's a zombie game where you just killing zombies, and that's the focus.
I think I'll add Dead Island and Dead Island 2 to the hack and slash games,
And I
maybe.
would, like the Dead Island story is kind of cheesy. It's zombies, so it kind of makes sense. But it had an issue with like the story is very serious, the gameplay is very wacky, and they didn't really balance it. Dead Island 2, it's like the amount of like wacky and serious is pretty balanced. So is it in like it is to a degree also in like Dying Light and Dying Light 2 more so than the original Dead Island games. Have you played Dying Light? I'm assuming no.
I played some of Dying Light, in fact.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, you have played some Dying Light.
yeah.
Well, Dying Light is just Dead Island, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, right. It's made by Techland, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the original Dying Light was originally what Dead Island 2 was going to be. Because Dead Island was made by Techland. Dead Island Riptide was made, which was the standalone expansion, was made by a small team in Techland and an in-house team at Deep Silver. And then when the original the leaked version of um Dying Light before it was Dying Light was called Dead World.
Oh,
And it was
interesting.
originally going to be Dead World, which was going to be the next Dead Island game. And Techland and Deep Silver had creative differences, so they split ways. And then, 3 years later, they would create Dying Light. And it is very much just a spiritual successor to Dead Island in every imaginable way, but improves the formula tenfold.
So
So,
you'd say Dying Light is better than Dead Island, or
well, I personally would say that overall, I prefer the original Dead Island over Dying Light for different reasons, not only nostalgia, but also just its vibe, especially Act 1, which is in a resort, which isn't the entirety of
Mhm.
the game, but that is like 75% of the game. And then there's like three more locations that is the last 25%.
Oh
Um,
wow.
but they are also cool, but not as cool. Which Dead Island 2 got that right. They're like, hey, let's just make the whole game very vibrant and wacky, but also horrifying. Because that was the best part about Act 1 of the thing that most people remember about Dead Island setting. It's the island, the resort, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but I would say Dying Light is I mean, other than Dead Island 2, it is nothing but an improvement on the original Dead Island, and is definitely overall for your average person and for anyone is technically, yes, a very much a better game.
All right.
But Dead Island and Dying Light are you know they're one and the same. They came from the same place, and
Like
the
the same
first,
concept, the same core.
yeah, Dying Light and even the Dead Island 2, which is a distanced from the original games, but and by a different developer, but they all came from Dead Island. They all came from that original game. They all came from a game that was more influential to first-person melee combat games than anybody will ever give it credit for, and a game that was actually well received, but very much underrated.
All right. Dead Island.
Fantastic, man, fantastic. But yeah, I mean, Dead Island 2 is so good so many ways, and what really just fully made it my game of the year was not only was just everything I wanted it to be and more, but they released a DLC within the same year, and it just really sealed the deal for me because the DLC was fantastic.
Or they released the DLC as well, or
Yeah, it
wow.
released October, no, November, early November.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so, early November. Yeah, it was fantastic as well. But yeah, I mean, really good stuff, man. Yeah. So
Oh,
what are your some of your inspiration? I mean, you still got time or uh
yeah, no, I still got time, yeah.
okay. What are some of your
So
inspirations for starting YouTube and how long you've been doing it? I can't I can't remember the last time that I was at the bottom of your list, but I can't remember how long ago it was you started doing YouTube.
so I've had in the past I now have had two, I think two previous deleted channels in the past.
Okay.
So like they're completely wiped off the internet. So one of them was a like a news like a news like gaming news coverage type of channel. 'Cause I was really inspired by like Etika.
I do not.
he was like this like Super Smash Brothers, like he made like reactions and stuff, and he would like cover like
Okay.
gaming news, and I was like
Right.
really inspired by his like by his work, and
Yeah.
he passed away a few years ago. It's a bit
Oh,
sad.
okay.
Like he like the news cover stuff that really inspired me to like make like videos, and like in a bit like kind of similar to you, like I'd have my phone propped up against my laptop and like scroll down articles and like just like analyze it and stuff.
Right.
And then I mean I think like in the big boom, like a lot of people had a Minecraft channel of sorts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
I mean,
I had
even my channel focused on Minecraft for one point there for a while. I had a whole series on it, or multiple series on it actually.
yeah, so had some Minecraft videos, and then that must have been like 2015, I think, or something like that. And then
Nice.
I did not attempt to make a YouTube channel until 2021, which is where I did like
Okay. So
made a
reboot.
channel a bit more. Yeah, no, not. I made a completely different channel, more like
Right.
so, like another thing that I'm very passionate about in my personal life. I'm not gonna say what it is. I don't want like draw connections to that channel or anything because it's still
Uh huh.
out there.
Right.
But then that really like inspired me to like, oh, I really like enjoying videos, and that one was a bit more time consuming to make. So I thought to myself, oh, what if I make videos about another thing that I'm really passionate about? That's video games. So late 2021, Resident Evil video, and from there on out, just made video essays on games.
That's awesome. That's cool, man. It's cool. It's also crazy though to be inspired by someone who is now passed away. There
Yeah.
was a lot of I remember. Did you ever watch Total? Was it Total Biscuit?
Oh, I've heard of him. I never actually watched any, but yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard of
I
him.
mean, he was around a long time, and he passed away back in probably about 2015 or 16, I think, or maybe a little bit after that, something. Yeah, he was a really cool guy though. I mean, he left a legacy, that's for sure. Pretty
Yeah,
big name in the review let's
in the
play
gaming
space.
space.
Oh yeah, he was a big one, but it's crazy to see stuff like that. It's crazy that you live long enough to see stuff like that. Is an interesting side of life.
Yeah, for sure. But in terms of like other inspirations, like current YouTubers,
Yeah.
Rasputin.
Oh yeah, Raz. I like Raz. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I love his content. And
Me and him
it's
had a little argument one time about the Witcher 3.
oh really?
Yeah, I said something about there being like signposting in The Witcher 3 to like in like landmarks and stuff. Like the because I thought that like the signs said like names and like in the directions that they pointed of like other towns and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think he called me out and he was like, "No, they don't," or whatever. And I mean, he was a little aggressive with it, but I was like, "Okay, well, I mean, maybe I'm wrong." But
Yeah, no, his videos are great.
oh yeah,
Jacob
they're really
Geller.
fun.
Do you watch Jacob Geller?
Yeah, dude, Jacob Geller's great. He's gotten pretty out there with the recent stuff, but it's still really good.
Yeah. Thinking of other content creators, like big names. Not can't think right now. My mind's
All
drawing a
good, man.
blank.
I mean, that's cool to hear. And especially you're like you started did you start this new channel in 2021?
Yeah, 2021. Yeah.
Okay. Um. So I'm doing
Not
a shout out thing in my new video, and there was an original version of it, but now it's a lot shorter. But I originally was talking about every person I was shouting out. You're one of those people, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. Much
Yeah, man.
appreciated.
Of course. But I was really I talked I you won't hear this part because ended up being way too long. I was talking about everybody. And I was like, I need to make this shorter. I don't need the whole end of the video to be like 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but I was kind of talking about how like how you're doing like you're probably one of the only people I know that are more consistent at releasing things than I am, and like that it's impressive to me because like there's very few people that I see that are that consistent. And like I've always been crazy consistent. People are always like, "Man, I can't believe you're still doing this. You're still consistent. You're still making videos." Blah blah blah. And it's like, and then I look at your channel. I'm like, "Man, you guys don't know nothing. This dude's like hammering it out. Like, and not only is that, but you're improving very quickly. Like your videos are getting better and better and better and better." And I saw that in real time as I was like, seen your new stuff as well as like watching your old stuff. Like it's crazy. It's. It's crazy to see someone evolving so fast.
Thank you very much for those
Yeah, man.
kind words. Really means a lot.
Yeah, but I was also saying that like your name is hard to find.
Yeah, that's kind of true. The most like iconic thing like you can probably find from my channel is the Sonic picture. Yeah.
So if I have to every time that I try to type your name in to YouTube, if I don't have like one of your videos in my watch later or something, if I try to like search you up, I can't find you.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other accounts with the exact same name that I then have to go. I type in because this narrows it down pretty easily. But I go Storm Sonic Frontiers, and then
Yeah.
and then you're like the first thing up there, and I was like, there we go. So I think that's a little bit of a problem from a like a growth like point, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's a good name. It's just sucks that there's a bunch of like channels out there that would have the same name that are like they don't even do anything. Like there's not even
Yeah, no.
you know what I mean? They're
And then
mostly
you write Storm, and then you get like a live footage of like a hurricane or something.
yeah, and it's hard to narrow it down. But yeah, I mean that's awesome to hear, man. And I mean you're a pretty cool dude. I like having you on the podcast today, and you inspire me to be even more consistent with how consistent you are.
It's quite tough with the consistency part. Like
yeah.
Like because I was thinking like
multiple videos a week, right?
Now it's one per week.
One a week, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to at least now, or maybe at some point I'll make it one every 2 weeks. But like I want to try and do like weekly videos as long as possible.
Awesome, yeah. That's what I've got down to now is mostly. I mean, I haven't released anything in the last 2 weeks, but what I've been doing for a very long time is releasing one video a week.
Yeah, it helps with like the consistency and like getting you just into like the groove of things. Just writing.
Oh, for sure. I think it's a good thing to kind of be on. Most people tend to do that. Even though like my video that's coming up is gonna be probably around 20 minutes or so, I think.
Pretty long video.
Yeah, it's gonna be the longest video that I've ever made like this. I don't know, like I'm not saying that every video is gonna be that way. I mean, you're probably gonna look at somewhere that's going to go between like 8 and 20 minutes, somewhere around there. Maybe closer to 10, because recently my video's been more around 8. So maybe 10 to 20 is gonna be the average. I don't think that there's gonna ever be a point in my channel, even if I get insanely successful or anything, that I'm ever gonna make things that are like 45 minutes to an hour. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I don't want to do that.
Right now I've got 2 videos planned for next year.
Yeah.
And so far from the conceptual phase of like the video, like both of those are going to be well above an hour long.
Really?
Yeah.
I just don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to do that. I mean, I don't mind. Like an hour is one thing, right? And I think around an hour, hour and a half is like the max any video should be on YouTube, because things that go higher than that, in my opinion, are just some people can do it very well. I think that like I think that High Medium has a few videos that are kind of long, and he does really good with them. And I think To Games That May Concern does very well with them, and a few other people do, but not everyone. I've watched some videos, and they're like just the biggest slog of like 2 hours worth of video. But I think there's a sweet spot in that like 15 to 30 minute range. I think there's a sweet spot there.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
I could get 30 minutes worth of information out in 5 minutes, but it's really all about just
the storytelling, the presentation of the video.
It's just getting it rolled out. But I really think that 30 minutes is like a 30 to 35 max is a pretty good range. Past that point, it just gets a little much, in my opinion. Not that those videos aren't good; they definitely are. It just gets a little
too much,
a little much, yeah. But
and then you end up watching the video over multiple days.
Yeah, it takes a while, and I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That actually YouTube's algorithm pushes that more, but it's not for everybody, and I definitely don't really want to do that with my channel. But is what it is. Man, we talked about a lot.
Lots of games to talk about.
Yeah, there's talk about. Any other questions that you have towards me, or any other games that you can think of that you want to talk about, or anything like that?
I mentioned like the two long videos that I've that I've got planned for next year.
Yeah.
So one of them is about Nier Automata,
Okay.
and the other one is about a recent game that that I pulled on my channel, and it's Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, hey, that's one of my favorite games of all time.
I'm about I think I'm a bit of ways into chapter 3 right now,
Yeah.
and man, that game is something else.
Yeah. I don't want to get super into it because that'd be like another 2 hours worth of talking. But
Yeah,
dude, yeah, that's a good game. If you need anybody to collab again, I'll be there. I can write some good stuff about it.
all right, I'll be glad to have you part of that 1 hour
yeah,
plus discussion.
yeah. I'll be part of it. It's your video, not mine, so I can. But yeah, I mean, I have that game really like it really grabbed me by the heart, man. It's among one of the few experiences where I finished it and I cried. I don't mean just like
Wow,
shed a tear, like I actually cried.
well that's something. It really shows how powerful video games are when I think they can do that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's one of the few that really did that for me, and I just it just showed me different elements of life. Not only that, just a beautiful game, great character, someone who can be so flawed yet somehow find a
Lovable.
form of redemption and
Yeah,
can be not only flawed but likable and both a bad person and a good person at the same time. It just shows how morally gray everything really is in life, and it really depends on the perspective of the person viewing something, whether it's good or bad. A lot of times,
yeah,
not all the time, but in a lot of situations, how something looks is different from every perspective.
yeah. There's no one definitive answer to anything.
No, that's definitely a good game. I'd love to talk about it in length later on, but yeah, I'd definitely love to be part of that video if you want. That'd be
I'll send you a message when we get closer to that time.
awesome. That's good. Trying to think. I mentioned something earlier about House of the Dead because you said you might pick it up on Switch. I was gonna say I'm a big light gun fan, and big like on rail shooter fan. I have a few of them. With that Sega Saturn I got, I have Virtua Cop,
All right.
and that's pretty cool. It's weird when you're playing with a controller, like using a directional pad to do stuff, but it still
Yeah.
works. But I bought House of the Dead Overkill, which was like or one of the last ones released. It was a Wii exclusive, and then they were later released it on PS3, I think. And dude, it was fantastic. It's like a grindhouse, really gory but like fun on rail shooter game. I beat that, and I was like, "Dang, man!" I was like, "I wonder how much that House of the Dead game is." So I go on the Switch store, and I'm like, "Ah, okay, I'll just check it out." It's like $30 normally, and then it was on sale for like $5.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah,
I
and then
might
I
have
had it.
to.
Yeah, and then I had enough points, and I got it for like $2.
Wow.
And then I beat it in an afternoon. Which, by the way, I did the same thing with House that Overkill. I beat that in the same day. Um, that I bought it. I beat it in the same day I bought it. I beat both of them back to back, like one day and then the next day.
Wow.
So
That's a lot
yeah,
of light rail shooting in one day.
the House Dead remake, like you use the rumble and stuff for the motion, which works. It's not like the best, but it works pretty good. It's not as good as like a Wii remote, but it's still pretty solid.
All right. Right. It's not on
Still worth
sale.
it,
It's not
in
on
my
sale
opinion.
on the Switch right now, but I'll pick it
Yeah.
up when I see it on sale.
Oh yeah, I'd say it'll probably be on sale again soon. Probably within the next week or so. I guess say probably around the holiday time. I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so that we covered a lot. We talked a lot of things. We went all over the place. Hope I didn't bog you down with all my talking.
No, no, it's all good. It's great hearing you talk.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of cool stuff, man. I definitely want to do it again. We got to talk again at some point. Especially after I beat
Alan
Alan Wake
Wake 2
2.
breakdown.
Yeah, we got
Yes.
to do that. We'll break down Alan Wake 2 on a podcast.
Break it down to a T.
And we definitely gotta, if you get around to playing Prey or some Arcane stuff, we gotta talk about that. Pretty cool.
Deathloop, definitely within the next few months, I'll be trying out Deathloop.
Sweet. Maybe I'll get back into it soon. Have a deeper discussion because I
Yeah.
still have it as part of Game Pass. So yeah, so that's that. It was an awesome discussion, man. It's probably one of the longest ones I've had in a little while on the podcast.
Well, Thank you so much for inviting me and having me be a part of it. It really does mean a lot. Appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I would be happy to have you on anytime. You know, that is the point of this thing. Talk to people, have conversation. It's part of it.
And further conversation.
And further conversation. Right. Well, it was good having you on, man. It was good talking to you. Getting a little bit of a deeper look into how you do your stuff and what inspired you. And I get to spiel my evolution to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a process, man. It's lots changed, lots gonna change. So keep it up.
Good stuff's coming.
I see you growing and growing and growing. You're doing great.
Thanks, man. And glad to see your stuff, like your evolution, and can't wait to see what's next to come.
It's gonna be something cool, man. I'll make sure to share it to you directly as soon as it drops.
Right. I'll be there day one.
All right, man. You have a good day. I'll talk to you again later on. I'll send you those Dead Island pictures and stuff in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you later. Thanks.
Yeah, man.